Righty then. We are back. Is the theme of the day. It's been a while, so I don't really know how to work half of this stuff. So let's see. I know we have to start this right to get us in the right mood with some baby Brian. I know that much. And folks
Yes.
always want to see what Brian's doing. Well, guess what? We got updated pictures of Brian now.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Let us know what branch of service you are from, where you served, time you served. If you're seeing us on Facebook, YouTube, say hello, put a chat. If you're on the socials, share it, invite a friend. Don't be selfish.
Nice.
I love it.
Look at those moves, though.
Yes.
That
Brian,
is.
we're gonna stand up so we can.
There we go.
There
That's
it is.
perfect. Right there. There we go.
We got little Brian action over there.
I'm feeling the groove. And you may not notice it, but there's a little extra weight in the bottom of that thing.
We need to get a little Amy one too.
That's right, we do. There you go.
Yes.
There you go. We're back. We're back in the mix.
We're back, baby.
I love it.
Oh, that is awesome.
I'm pretty sure somebody tuning in for the first time, they're like, "What in the
What
heck
is
is happening here?" We are slowly kind of kicking in. So we'll put baby Brian to bed. We'll put baby Amy and baby DP sans the daggone diapers away. What is up, everybody? I know we have a few places this is streaming, so we're mainly on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you should be able to chat. If you click on the live chat button, you will see the ability to interact and say things, and we'll go ahead and pop up your comments, just like Paul, who's joining us from the U.S. Air Force, Amy's best branch of service from 84 to 95, and we got our
Yes.
brother from another mother, Manuel, is in the house. Hello from Ohio, U.S. Army retired at 90%. Got to just give him a little nudge kick and get him to that next hurdle. And Linda says, yes, they let you guys out.
Yes.
Let us out or locked us in. That's debatable.
Yeah.
Or did Linda get let out to join us?
Oh, wait a second. We got a frago. Paul said, no, not 84 to 95. Correction, 74 to 95. Do not take
Oh,
those
wow.
10 years.
Oh man, yeah, I don't want to shortchange you.
That do not shortchange you.
Yes.
Gino is in the house.
What's up?
You know,
My-
I said we need to bring Gino needs to
Look, you
jump
can't handle all that Gino awesomeness. Calm down now. We're literally just coming back. People are just like, oh my God, you guys are back again. And then you bring Gino and put all that awesomeness out here? Come on now.
Overload.
Oh, Lord. See, like you're definitely overdoing it now, over preparing. So let's see here. Against my better judgment, I went ahead and listened to Amy, and she made a statement to the effect of making sure that her visuals were not, too big. So I want to resize myself so we look all on par because I was looking like super bobblehead. Brian, I might not help too much. I'm gonna have to just leave Brian right there. So, but yeah, let us know if you can hear us, you can see us. Make sure we have a good sound check as we kick off here. We'll do some intros in a second. We usually do the whole 5 minutes to let folks kind of come around. But if you can see us, if you can hear us, let us know again what branch of service, time that you served. If you're seeing us on Facebook, feel free to go ahead and share and invite someone to hang out this evening. Amy, AF. AF
Me-
for Air Force. Sweet Jesus. It
Yes.
took literally all of, how long? 4 minutes.
Yes. So I
Break that thing
I
out.
wanted to bring it out initially, but then you put a baby in front of me, so I couldn't bring it out. So
This is true.
Amy for Air. I was thinking I should go with Air Force Amy, but then I don't know why DP decided to do Amy AF.
Oh, I'm sorry. That might be like
Air Force.
yeah, that might
Air-
be like a new military, young millennial thing. I don't know. Boom, fixed it.
AFA.
There you go.
Yes.
Problem solved. See,
Look at that.
too easy.
DP knows technology.
You know,
Yes.
got a little of the
He knows a thing
technologies.
or two.
a thing or two maybe happening. So yeah, so if you see us, like I said, I know we're on the champions page, we're on the group as well, so we could share that into the group for those that may not see it there, and we shall kick. But hello everybody, my name is DP David Pineda. I am the wonderful coffee getter for these amazing people who are joining us today, and I have the pleasure and luck to spend the evening with y'all talking VA claims, crypto, and this crazy concept of NFTs and stuff. We'll get to the comments in a section. Amy, feel free to introduce yourself and then tell us how you've been.
I am Amy, disabled Air Force veteran, and I'm happy to be here. It seems like it's been forever since we've been on. So, when was the last time we did it? It was back in May, I think, the end of May. So excited to be here with everybody and catch up with some of our faves. So thank you for everybody jumping on and joining us.
I got to make it easier for people to see us.
There you go.
No, you're doing that on purpose. I asked you to make me smaller.
You're my size now.
Make me bigger.
No, you're fine.
Look at Brian.
Hi guys.
This is the only time that Brian's not going to be as tall as all of us.
That's
So.
right. I'm fine with that. I just stay right down here.
Right. So the first time I met Brian in person, I'm like, what? Hi. And then the first time I met Nayali in person, I was like, what? Hi.
Oh no. Well, that starts some trouble right there. Yikes.
The tiny tornado.
Let's kick it on over to Brian, to the Jolly Green Giant now. Apparently, that's what you call him. That's what I heard. Brian.
Well, welcome everybody. Brian Lofton, disabled Army vet, and I'm the coffee getter for DP, the coffee getter. So, it all starts somewhere. But no, it's great to be back. It has been a while. I was just trying to make sure that I knew how to turn my camera on and that I even knew where my computer was at. So, trying to remember how to work these keys.
Ooh. We have to do a quick on-the-fly correction. We just got on good accord that we should probably spell out this name because AF Amy actually apparently is somebody famous for other things that we don't need to associate it with. So you are Air Force Amy. And I'll leave it at that. Apparently somebody works at a ranch with bunnies that has that name. I'm telling you, it's amazing having people out there doing some good stuff. Let's go to the comments. We got my brother here from another mother. He has my name as well, and he's a good guy because his name is David. We got David Frazier in the house. What's up, my brother?
David.
Yeah. We got Glenn Gould in the house. Air Force 2011 to 2021. Wait a second. Wow. 2021? Wow. Oh, my goodness. Did you literally do a combat role and just get out of service? Like, whoop, 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 whoop. I'm here.
He just got finished throwing his low quarters out the door.
Literally. He's probably still clearing CIF, though. I'm sorry. That's a concept of Central Issue Facility where they give us uniforms and we have to turn it back. Never has anyone ever in the history of the military of the United States have they cleared CIF without owing some money. You always were missing something. This canteen is worth now $500. I don't know where, but apparently that's what I owed CIF.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Paul said 10% waiting on my next claim result. Look right there.
All right.
Yes.
I'd like to be able to do that better with my fingers, but the way my fingers are set up, they don't do that too well. So,
just two
fingers crossed. Yeah. Let's see. There's a good one here. There you go. We'll give you one of these right here, Paul, right next to your name.
There you go.
Yes.
Because if I do that right there, that might be another claim. Crap, the VA just saw that. I'd have dexterity. I've been lying apparently. Oops. Let's see. We got my brother T in the house. Says let's crush it, familia. So T is in the hizzy. U.S. Navy, naval power is in the house. 98 to 2012. One of our brothers from another mother. You may know him from many places. He was definitely not in Under Siege 1 or 2, though he was in a kitchen in the Navy. But nowadays he resides at lovely VACI, presiding over all good people. El Presidente. That's his new name from now on. I have to find a way to edit his specifically. Oh, wait a second. We started off this day in a good note,
Keeping us.
and here comes Glenn starting trouble. You ain't been out but literally like 5 minutes and already you're trying to get a reporter survey. Golly. Man, oh man. But yeah, so some pretty cool stuff, pretty good things that are going on. So we haven't been on for a little bit, so we do some catching up. Amy, what have you done? I feel like I haven't talked to you in about 2 or 3 months since we took a hiatus.
Well, my voice is raspy from all the singing I've been doing. So
Well, if man, look, if we lose power because the show goes away, know that is literally lies being purported.
Because I still hadn't even sent her the battery yet, so.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh! So I moved
Uh-oh.
over the summer. Got COVID twice over the summer. Well, no, I had it once, and now I just got over it again. And I did get my vaccination, so my symptoms were worse the second time or this time around. So that's nice. Those are the big highlights of since the last time we were on. I think moving was horrible. It's much different when the military doesn't move you and you have to move yourself. So funny.
Hey, look, we gotta make sure that we're safe here. We're just making sure.
Are we social distance here? I mean,
No, not really.
I don't know. Brian, you're definitely gonna get COVID. This is like one of those scenes from like Step Brother, where it's just like, "Hey, we're gonna interview as a pair."
No, actually, this time all of us had it. So my son and both my girls had it too. So my son had it the worst out of all of us, but everybody's on the mend now, and all my kids have turned another year since the last time. So Maya's 12, Quincy's 19, and Mia is 10.
Oh, wow.
So those are my highlights.
Yeah, that's we're definitely keeping busy and doing some things. How have you been, Brian?
Well, it certainly hasn't been quite as busy as Amy. We actually got my oldest granddaughter off to college, so she's the first one out of the group to go so far. And well, actually, she's not the first one to go. My grandson's the first, but she's the first granddaughter. So anyway, she's off in school now. That's exciting. I got the COVID vaccine, not the COVID virus. So
There's a difference.
That is a big difference, and I had no effects from it. So I don't know. Maybe they gave me a placebo or something. But
What one did you get? I didn't have any effects either. Which one did you get?
I got the Pfizer.
Oh, okay. I got the Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah, I got the Pfizer one as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm vaccinated, so I feel safe and secure as I stay in the house anyway. So anyway,
it's little things that count and go a long way.
I think my wife wanted me to get vaccinated just so I could get out of the house to go get it. So
I could definitely see that.
So yeah, but still living in the house in the side of the hill in my little hobbit home and watching the leaves starting to change. What's that?
That is so cool. Your house is so cool.
It is beautifully serene out here. So
for the longest time, I didn't realize it was real. I thought you just had it I thought you just thought it was cool and it was a cool screensaver.
That's
you
right.
thought it was just fibbing, but no, it is true. He lives in
a
hill.
Yeah, my gutters were not full of dirt. It really is dirt from the top of the roof.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah.
So a pretty interesting day. Say again.
What about you? I mean, you've been kind of all over, literally.
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so David Pinedo, DP, disabled Army veteran, retired federal law enforcement officer. I've never understood that. Like, I have, a few little mics and stuff, and they're all tangled up now, but I have a little mic thing, and some of those people be doing stuff, and they're always, like, talking when they're making shows, and they're like, blah, 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 or probably they do it this way, so it looks not like it's whatever. I always find that weird. Like, I don't like seeing the mic, but it's there, though, so there's that part. Very so often, for emphasis, you have to make a point to kind of get up on it. So there's that part. I will say it's been a very busy few months as we Roger Full's in the house. As you guys kind of come in and pop up, I'll stop talking and just bloop bring you up. Roger.
Hey, Roger.
All right.
We got Kajana Power. Oh man, I'm gonna mess this up. Kajana Prowent is in the house.
Hi.
Let's see. David said Johnson was the one with 66% protection, Amy. They're now offering a second shot to get 94% like Pfizer and Moderna. See, you were under. You know what? We're not going to go. These views do not represent the network or any official bodies. This is literally just a bunch of veterans on a Friday night with nothing better to do that are talking about their personal experiences, not legal advice, medical advice, financial advice. But apparently you were underprotected, so. Oh.
So when I told my
Oh yes, Project Steel's in the house. Remember when Bronis did the bricks with stuff for Project Steel?
Yes,
Oh, yes,
I
yes.
recognized her.
Yeah. For the record, Kajana is not the brick. She has bricks. Because the way you said that real quick, I don't want her to feel bad. Like, oh crap, I showed up, you guys making fun of me. Where is Lisa? I know she was saying she's like, I can't wait. Lisa Chaser, where are you?
Oh yeah, where is she?
Mm-hmm. She's hiding.
Jay and Jess, and where is Nayali?
I don't know. They're in there watching. We know they're like ninjas.
Is Lisa here?
I think so. I think
And
I
I
saw.
hope Capri comes too.
We don't say that name out anymore. Capri's playing. But no, very busy. Few months. We took the spring and summer and did some things, tried some things. Oh snap! We got Maria in the house.
Oh
We
yeah.
got the crew.
So Maria, I love nothing. When she says "Hey y'all," you cannot help but to smile.
Mm-hmm.
Hey y'all.
I've never seen someone light up
Hey,
a room
y'all.
with words and not like camera.
Exactly. I love it.
Yeah.
Hey y'all! Shout out to Maria. She is busting her hump
Mm-hmm.
with all the things.
Kajana said, "Yes. Where is Lisa? I may be Air Force, but I was raised by a Marine, so no skin off of my knees." There you go. Actually, let's send.
I knew you were Air Force with your creativity.
God damn it!
I knew it. As soon as
I would
he told
argue
me-
the opposite.
No,
I would
as
say
he told me.
it's-
I knew. I was like,
it's
she
what- it's
is-
her
that is Air
upbringing.
Force Grace.
her upbringing.
No,
It's the Marine Corps upbringing
Yeah,
that gave her that
that's
creativity.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
First of all, there's no bricks in the Air Force. You guys have like all that fancy ceramic gold chandeliers and stuff. There's no bricks.
It's very nice, neat, organized. I knew it was Air Force. As soon as you guys were telling me about her and the project, I was like, oh, that's an Air Force veteran.
Yeah, but it's definitely the Marine Corps that brought the bricks out.
Which we should put her Instagram handle, because she does.
Yeah,
she's doing
go ahead and pop
amazing
that in. So we
things.
could pop that up so we could take a look at you. Jessie is finally in the house. She was too busy dealing with Jay apparently, so there's that part.
She missed my karaoke moment.
She had the
You
sweet,
missed it.
sweet
She-
face name so she could make it to the camera first.
Literally, she sang like an angel. We just happened to have had the mute button on as that was happening. It was literally the worst. So like halfway through, she was just like blah blah blah, blah blah blah, and back. So yeah, you can't recreate awesomeness like that. It's like a rainbow shooting star thing. So there's
Yeah.
that part. But yeah, busy. Couple of few months. Some good things have happened. Testing some new things, traveling a little bit, trying to check off some things, and we'll share some of that. So really, it's kind of coming back, having a conversation. As you can see, we have some shirts here that says "We are back," and I will save you all the other part of the shirt that maybe may come out after hours. But if you know us, you know what usually would say after that. So limited time edition shirts. Kajana said, "I wish he's he's pestis and raccoons in the ceiling." Yeah, there you go. Weird. Jessie,
no.
Jessie said she missed us. Me and Brian, not Amy, for the record.
Yeah.
Kajana said, "Here is her Instagram." So if you go to Instagram and check out
Yes.
Project Steel, the word Project and Steel, you will see the amazing work that she is doing. And Ron was able to create some cool stuff also for them. So awesome sauce. So yeah, we're kind of resetting, coming back, talking some different things. as we start to provide some services and things that we're doing, we really want to start learning and asking questions. So you're going to see our socials, media platforms providing more information, asking more questions. So, we're not going to let the whole cat out the bag of all the things we're thinking, because quite frankly, if you know Men or me and Brian, those plans might not work anyway. So we're not going to share stuff until Amy approves. So there's that part. How many people does it take? How many Army soldiers does it take, veterans, to come up with an idea? An Air Force veteran to help.
Well, I can tell you it doesn't take us to the Air Force.
Say what?
I can tell you it takes more than Air Force.
Let's see. How do I do this again? Do you see? Yep, that's.
Oh man, yeah.
Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties here. What? First of all, what time is it? 9:23. Kids are asleep. Who the hell says we wear undies anyway? Next question. But you'll start seeing some stuff on our platforms. We have some pages we're going to start spinning up with our Veterans Network content and things that we're doing and creating. So a lot of cool things. We have our state benefit veteran ebook that's coming out. Apparently you must want us to go to jail. See, this is where I know the Marines was in your house, because it's an undie run. Well, how does that help us? We have not the facilities to do these things. Hiram is in the house. What's up, people? Long time. Is it crazy that as soon as I read that, the first thing I thought to read was what's popping? I got like a Cardi vibe feel out of Hiram for some reason. I don't know why.
Cardi?
Yeah,
What's
but
up, Hiram?
yeah. Let's see. Oh, and you have a permit. I hope you got a permit to get us out of jail for indecent, veterans gone wild, PTSD.
Yeah,
Like some veteran in a beard and a dog ran naked. Not a good day. Legend will not approve.
Clear the way.
Yeah, but we got some pretty cool stuff coming up that we'll be sharing. Our state benefit ebook is being updated, so you'll see that coming up soon. We have some other things that we're expanding. So if you know us, right, we've dabbled a little bit in the veteran space and worked with some clients, know a thing or two about claims. Nobody's keeping count. Helped, maybe 1 or 2, 3 people get an increase. So we have a team behind the scenes. Obviously, the 3 of us here. I've coerced to bring Amy and Brian over and over, but there's other folks behind the scenes who definitely know a whole lot more than we do about this space. And they collectively, right, we have a good team of folks that have done some great things. So really sharing that information, you'll start seeing that coming up on our social medias to kind of help really, spread more awareness and information as it relates to VA claims. Then also you see here we're talking some crypto and NFTs, so really going beyond that. So I'll make a point here to bring up the timer, because sometimes we need to have a timer. So let's do what are we gonna do here? We're gonna do a stopwatch, because I want to make sure we stay on task here. Don't want to get too crazy. So this is my stopwatch, so I'll make sure that we're not gonna go on too long of a rant. So every so often we might bring this bad boy up depending on what's happening. So this will be my stopwatch. So I'll take a quick second to explain kind of the bigger picture. Start clock. My thoughts here is I think that in the grand scheme of things as veterans, there are a lot of things that are missing, right? We know that for many veterans, the entry point for conversations we have relates to VA claims. A lot of veterans are just underrated. They don't know what they don't know, and they just go about the system thinking, you know what, I'm not eligible for this. I'm not entitled to this. But I would argue that 5th and 6th and 7th divorce, and that 5th and 6th and 20th firing from a job, and that 3rd and 4th failed business attempt, and those strained relationships say otherwise. Whether or not we want to admit it, we deal with things, and that's just the reality. So the premise of these shows and what we do here has always been not look up at how awesome we are. It's more of a look, we fell down, avoid that pitfall type of thing. So we collectively have dealt with things. It would be a disservice to not also just mention the fact that this month a lot of things are happening, right? We have Suicide Prevention Month. That'll be another rant for another day. But really, there's a lot of mental health conversations and awareness that has to happen, and action beyond just awareness. So with that being said and done, part of our you know, um, you know, position here is really to say, let's, yes, talk about claims, and let's go ahead and get you guys rated and kind of get you the information you need and break the stigma, around mental health and things like that. But beyond that, there's more, right? What happens after you get your rating, right? For many folks, they're living paycheck to paycheck, or they're under, or they're homeless. And then the question of like, what's investments and what's NFTs and what are cryptos? What are these things? There's a lot of options out there. And if you don't know these things, guess what? You don't know them, right? And you're excluded from that. And I think that because either you're not tech savvy or because maybe you are advanced in age, it shouldn't preclude you from information that you hear happening out there. So once you get your rating and you have, let's say, a little bit more of disposable income, you have the ability to begin to explore things, not just, oh, I got this back pay, I got this rating. Now what do I do, right? So now it's more a fact of saying, let's go ahead and look at what's available out there. What are some things we've looked at? So we're pretty much always exploring things. So, Brian and Amy have been deep in the crypto and NFT space, and I have copiously been learning from them. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we'll talk a little bit about the NFT space, which kind of builds off of that. So we'll, and we're not going to go too crazy deep today. It's just really starting conversations. And then we'll go ahead also and eventually start talking about some business development. So really at Veterans Network, some of the things that we're looking at is helping, yes, veterans align to the benefits, but also, how do we help on the now after the claim, right? What do you do now that you have a few extra shekels to do something with? Maybe you want to go into business. What does that development look like, right? We've all have had a variety of businesses. We've been successful together, have done different things. So when we're not here on Fridays, we do a multitude of other businesses that we run. So sharing that, right? Not just I can and you cannot. So that's kind of the real big, drive of where we're going, focusing on not just the past. And I told Brian this and Amy this and the team yesterday, which is I don't want to, as we're kind of going through like a naming convention change to talk about kind of where we're going. I like the past, right? I think we're warriors. I think we're a tribe. I think we're a lot of things. But beyond that, I think we're also cutting edge people looking at the future. I think we're agile. I think we're moving into the future. We can't fix the past. We can try to hopefully get you rated now and help you get there. But beyond that, let's look at now, what do you do forward? Because we always live in the past. My best days are behind me. I wasn't rated. I should have got this. I should have done that. Well, let's talk about tomorrow and what's coming and what's happening. And let's go back to a place when we used to be forward thinking. Because everyone watching this now, if you served a decent amount of time, whatever it was, you lived in the future. And I promise you that you did. Because when you got into basic training, first thing you did was work your butt to graduate, right? Their whole focus of basic training was to make it to the end date. Not in the past, in the future. You got to your unit. You wanted to have a good PT score, good marksmanship score, to get a good rating. To do what? E1 to E2, right? You went to the board for what? E5. So everything we did in the military is always preparing for what's to come, right? When we would do training, tactics, etc., what would that be for? To prepare for future operations, right? Forward operating bases, training for what we're going to do, advanced party, always moving forward. When we deployed, especially nowadays, you see like the new flag on people's shoulder. They're like, why does it look backward? It's not backward. It's that if we had a guide on with the flag and we were moving, the flag would flap backwards because we're moving forward. So that's kind of what we did in service. We moved forward. Sadly, many of us got out of service and we're stuck, right? Disillusioned, not fitting in, trying to figure out what happened. Brian maybe went in for 20 years. 6 years later, you're out. Now what do I do? This is supposed to be my thing. So a lot of different ways and reasons of how we got to where we got to. So we can start working towards making some things hold now, but then getting back to, okay, let's start getting back into that forward, movement. That's really kind of what we're looking at doing. Hence having conversations. Yes, let's talk about claims. And let's go ahead and introduce new concepts that might seem crazy and make no sense, but it's the only way to get back in a place of looking forward. So that's my time, and I will yield the rest of my time back to the peoples. Let me read some comments. Amy and Brian, the gurus of the house. We'll start with some claims. Well, first of all, what do you think overall? What are your thoughts before we start kind of jumping into VA claims first? And put some things out there, answer some questions, and then kind of just go into session.
Well, go ahead, Amy. I'll let you go first.
Everything DP said. Sorry.
And
No.
that's why Amy went first. No.
I think it's great, and yeah, everything you said, definitely. Yes, thank you, Paul. We're excited too. Yeah. So I'm excited that we're back at it, and excited for our new ventures and getting back in the swing of things with the veterans. It always really is a great ending to the week, but a great start to the next week for what's to come. So I'm excited about that. um, I think, uh, today I was thinking kind of a lot about, I had a couple different clients and was talking to them about, their claims and thinking about my biggest, I guess, takeaway from um, this week and today was keep staying in the fight when it comes to your claims and not giving up, um, and kind of hanging in there with us and willing to continue to see what you can do or we can do to help you. That I have a client that um, went to 100% after putting in a claim, being denied, HLR denied, supplemental denied, HLR denied, third time, and he was approved.
Hmm.
So it was a 2-year fight, but he was finally approved. I had another one recently that went 0 to 100 after putting in their claim in January of 2019. And so sometimes you get the no, but if you stay in the fight, then it can definitely turn around for you and be the big yes. And so, telling your story, getting the ratings that you deserve, and just believing in the process is what I would say.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm really excited that we've taken this time off. Done a reset. We've kind of refreshed ourselves, if you will. Some people have, yes, the big yes. But it's exciting to get back in fellowship with our community here, and it's always good to feed off that energy and pour into y'all in every way that we can. It's it is frustrating sometimes, that journey with the VA, but I don't, and we tend to bash the VA just because we're frustrated with the process. And we can talk about this maybe more detail later, but it's not really necessarily the VA as an entity that's the issue. Um, but humans are what make up those that support the process and do the ratings and do the examinations. And unfortunately, it doesn't matter where you're at in life. You're going to have people that just are not trying to do their best. Maybe they have some ulterior motives to whatever they're doing, or whatever the case may be. So you always got bad actors and good actors in anything that you do. So that's just one of those things that we have to deal with and move on. Right? We understand the process. We stick with what we know, and that's what ultimately leads to success, is pushing through beyond those little roadblocks that pop up. But what's exciting is thinking beyond even just the claims. And that whenever somebody achieves that rating of wherever they belong, that can result in money that's life changing for them. But hey, what do you do with that? Do you just go out and buy extra popcorn at the movies, or or do you actually do something with that can help grow what you just obtained, and build on that, build a future on that, even more so. So the other things that we're looking at and working on developing, I'm excited about those things because they're all about the holistic picture of helping the veterans grow in a positive way, and giving them opportunities, maybe, or helping them down a path that they may not have thought that would have been an option for them. And I know crypto and NFTs is still a foreign language to so many people. But it really is the wave of the future. And it really kind of makes me think of, there's I can't even remember the name, the brand that this is for, but there's a commercial where they're talking about money, and they have a flashback, and the guy is sitting there with a vest full of gold bars, and he said, "Paper money, that'll never catch on." He's like, "Oh, give me a hand, mama." So, you know, things evolve, and certainly crypto and NFTs are the future. They are the now, but they are certainly going to be more prevalent in the future. So it's been fun getting into that and learning more about that as I try to bring the best coffee I can to DP and learn at his feet.
Arguably, they both drink coffee because they never sleep. They work all night.
Yeah.
I am but a little Padawan, just taking some lessons and notes from
And
you all.
actually, are we talking about claims yet? Did I miss my opportunity for
Yeah,
a
you
claim?
did completely. We gave you an alley oop and you missed it completely. So literally, we've moved on now.
You threw me off there because I wasn't quite ready for that alley.
Oh, okay. Let's back to you.
actually thought, yeah, so I wasn't quite prepared. But I do have claim tips. So whenever we circle back to claims, if I miss my opportunity, if I can have another opportunity, because I can't speak to claims. I mean, crypto or NFT.
There you go. We'll go ahead and you can pull that card out when time comes.
Okay.
So when it comes to claims specifically, we kind of broke down initially kind of our position as to why we're having these conversations. And at the end of the day, one of the basic things for those that have never filed a claim, and we have some questions, some folks may be asking about who to work with directly. We're not taking any clients or doing anything right now in that regard, but we have a network of folks that we can put you in contact with. So we have some partnerships in place with the ACI and other places that we do have. So depending on where the veteran is at, one of the biggest things that I would say is it depends what you need, right? It should be one of those things where no matter where you go, it should fit, and whoever you go to work with should be able to meet you where you're at to help you, right? Like anything else. Specifically to the claims piece, there's two parts. One thing that Brian said, which is the bureaucracy of the system. And we talked about this yesterday a little bit too, offline on one of our meetings. And, I'm not into the bashing of the system. I will tell you that, I was in the military. I went ahead and went to serve in the Federal Air Marshal with the Department of Homeland Security, retired from there. So law enforcement, did a bunch of things in the military, went into counterterrorism. Brian, same thing, military, did government stints and jobs and things of that nature, as did Amy, and as did many of y'all. And I will tell you that sometimes I think we need to just zoom out for a little bit, right? And if you ever do any business with us on the business development, I will constantly say that. Zoom in, zoom out. Because sometimes we get really hung up on one specific thing and we miss the bigger picture. But when it comes to the VA, it's a business, it's an organization, it's a bureaucracy, it's an agency filled with people. And I would argue that while the mission, right, of the agencies we've worked for and the places that we've served meant well, sometimes they don't execute as well. Not everyone that was to my left and my right in service should have been there, right? Not everybody that was in a leadership position should have been there. Arguably, many of you all, I would say that should be able to identify that there have been times maybe where you were working someplace and someone that maybe shouldn't have been the person doing the job did it, right? Like, why are you working human resource? Or why are you in finance? Or why are you this person? Because it's just not your forte. So I say that to say that there are instances where the system is just wrong. When it comes to the VA, it's a government agency like any other. The VA is no different than the Department of Motor Vehicles. There are good people there, but sometimes we know for a fact that it just tends to not be a pleasant experience because of a myriad of things. And while there are good people in the system, sadly, it is a huge conglomerate, organization. And if all three of us here on screen today filed the exact same claim, with the exact same condition, with the exact same supporting evidence, with the exact same past, like literally everything is identical, right? We've literally got injured at the same time, same injury, same everything. We will all have three different results. And we can argue all day that the system should be, should this, should that. as should the DMV, as should this, as should that, as should the government not shutting down. There's a lot of things that should happen that are not happening. That's not the point. It's ultimately now, how do you work through this system? So to Amy's point, the reason I'm saying this is having a veteran who went through a process of filing a claim and then going for a high level review. Now, one thing to start putting context together, if you've never filed a claim, it's not payment for services rendered. I'll say it again. One of the biggest issues after working, in unison here with many, many veterans in the thousands and seeing a lot of successes and a lot of failures and things that have happened, it's how you're walking into this conversation, right? I deserve to get this because if Amy has 100, then I also should stop it. Stop it right there. That's one game that we just don't play. It doesn't work. You're starting this whole thing the wrong way when you're going into comparison mode. Because while I understand the frustration and the reason why folks say these things, it's really asinine to say something like, well, Brian has type 2 diabetes, I should have it too. Said no one ever. Amy has an autoimmune condition, I should have that too. Said no one ever. Because arguably, if you are dealing with something that is debilitating, you would give anything to not be disabled in said condition. So that's the first part. So when it comes to filing a claim, if you served and you meet the requirements, that is a benefit that's out there and time when it's out there for things that you incurred in service. It's not because, hey, I served, so I'm owed this. It doesn't matter what you did. Oh, I was infantry, I should get paid this. It doesn't matter what you did. You got paid. Everyone here who served got paid. On the first and the 15th. Everybody, right? So now it's about the argument of what's happened after service. Did something happen in service that you can make an argument that today you're living with the lingering effects of that? And that's a different conversation when you're saying, hey, I am entitled to apply for said compensation, but you must understand how to make that argument. So when it comes to filing a claim, oftentimes it's understanding, first of all, what we're doing. No one owes you a dime. Stop that. This whole concept of I'm owed, no one owes you anything. The system owes you nothing. The system's not designed like that. And it's sad that the system is doing not what the system was designed to do. It's not taking care of the widow of those that bore, the injuries of war and done things as the VA's mission is. That's just not happening. However, if we understand that we're arguing now to say, because of my service, things happen that today still affect me. Now let's begin the conversation, right? So that's the first premise there, right? So once you understand that, that can begin the conversation. Now you served, right? And we'll take the three of us. So I, for example, was, in an IAD situation. And let's say Brian was exposed to a physical injury. And let's say Amy was, doing something similar that has a combination of both psych and mental, right? So a traumatic event where, let's say something happened, she also physically was injured, right? So different claims. Now, the arguments that have to be in place is you have a few ways of filing a claim. You can have a direct to service claim. You are saying, because this event happened, I now have this. And for many of us, except, who is it Glenn? I want to say everybody but Glenn, who've been out of the service for more than 5 minutes, right? You have an argument to make. So there's three things that we need to look at, right? The Kaluza triangle, we'll bring it up in here in a second, that you need to be able to establish direct service connection. There's secondary service connections, and then there's presumptions, right? We know Vietnam presumptions, Agent Orange, Gulf War illnesses. We'll talk about that. Right now, just talk about direct service. And direct service is easy conceptually to be able to say, for example, Glenn just got a service. Glenn today has respiratory issues. Glenn got back from deployment, let's say a year ago. Easy line to be able to put together. Brian, on the other hand, got on the 90s. A lot of living from then to now. Jim got out in the 70s. A whole lot of living. Now, the time does not negate your ability to file a claim. It just makes it to where the argument has to be better laid out. And sadly, the longer you've been out, the more frustrated you may be, and no one's ever won an argument being frustrated. No one's ever won an argument in a document back and forth by just saying, well, I'm owed this and that's all she wrote. Sorry, not going to fly. because 2 plus 2 is 4, and you've been submitting 1 plus 3. I mean, 1 plus 2. You got 3. You're missing a piece. So for direct service connections, you need to have a diagnosis. You need to have an in-service stressor or event that you can say this caused that. And depending on how long you've been out, it is highly encouraged to have a nexus statement. You have heard of nexus letters. And really, it's just saying we're going to connect these two things, right? That's the triangle. We call it the Kaluza triangle of Kaluza v. Brown. Pretty much was a case that was pretty much used to establish how to go about doing that. So the issue for some veterans is if you don't have all three of those things, you're kind of up, poop's creek, because you need to be able to say, okay, do you have that? So for example, one of the very first things you may have heard Brian Reese say, right, one of our other partners here in the claim fight, is if you can hear our voices, right, get your butt to the doctor. If you haven't been to the doctor, guess what? You're going to have a hard time making that. We're going to go ahead and block out Amy here just for a second. I don't think she minds. Matter of fact, we'll put me here. No, we'll put, yeah. So in this instance here, right, if you look at what we're looking at, this is, the Kaluza triangle, right? I don't want to make it look like I'm giving her a dunce hat, so I'll put it here on mine. You need to have one of these three things. If you don't have a diagnosis, you're not going to be successful in filing a claim. If you don't have the ability to point out an in-service event or aggravation, you're not going to be successful. And if you don't have a nexus, it's going to be hard to do that. Now, this is not because I talked to someone and I think this is what worked for Brian, or Amy told me this worked for her. This is thousands of clients and veterans that we worked with collectively, and data shows this is the facts, right? So this is not just DP talking. We can go to the regs every day of the week. And when it comes to this has to be there. If you don't have a diagnosis, you have a problem. If you don't have the ability to point to something in service and say, look, this is where I fell, this is where this happened, you're going to have a problem. And the nexus statement at times almost is the tie-in, because I would argue and present to all of you that a medical diagnosis is not a disability. PTSD is not a disability, ladies and gentlemen. IBS is not a disability. Migraines is not a disability. These are diagnoses of a medical condition. When it comes to filing a claim for disability benefits, you have to change how you argue and look at this. It's not the VA gave me a CPAP, I'm going to get rated. Let me know how that works out for you. You got denied, right? It's not that my doctor said I have this condition, I'm going to file a claim. No. It is the symptoms of your condition that rise to the level of a disability. I get migraines, but not to the point where, let's say in Amy's case, she cannot drive a vehicle. It's a difference. In a month, I'll get, let's say, a migraine or two, and they're bad. But when Amy gets them, go ahead and call off soccer practice. The girls have dance, not today. Got to do a thing, not happening. Oh, it's Timmy's birthday, we're going to go attend? Guess who can't make it? What part of I cannot move right now because I am incapacitated because of what's happening? I am damn near throwing up. I am sick. I am not able to process things. And as such, Brian and Amy, who work together, right, have a lot of leave saved up. Brian has 1,000 hours. Amy has 5. Sick, 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 bang out, sick, bang out, sick. Different conversation. How your condition affects you, the level of that severity must be spoken. Because it's not just I have migraine, so does Amy. No, it's what are your symptoms? And that nexus letter helps to tie those things in. So in this case, right, let's say was in a vehicle going from point A to point B in combat. And during that, things happen. A traumatic event. There's now a marked event of something that happened. Because of that, enter now a mental health condition. A nexus letter to be able to kind of diagnose, say, hey, the PTSD the DP has, why he has a service dog, is related to service, right? See the argument, how you connect it? And then Brian, in turn, let's say, fell off a vehicle, deuce and a half, loading it up, chain, daisy chain, right? Slips, falls, has to get, taken into the ER. Documentation showing all kinds of stuff with his back. Because of that, his back today has a situation. That nexus letter helps to connect that. In Amy's case, same situation, right? On the mental health side, on the physical side. But all three of these things must be part of the argument. When you see it that way, that changes things, because what someone does in this situation is you sit there arguing over and over a specific thing that we all do. And that's simply this. Well, in service, this happened. And in service, that happened. I'm not asking you what happened in service anymore. You have to be able to a degree to talk about today. That's the other problem. But in service, I get it, Ghost Rider. What is happening today? Talk to me about what's happening now. You have a mental health condition, or I have anxiety, I check the doors. You're not telling me anything. Start talking about what's uncomfortable. Start talking about your truth. So those are the things that have to be present to be able to get a fair shake, because if you're going in there with the wrong information from the beginning, you're not going to get a fair shake. You have got to put aside ego. And the reason we have these conversations and we do these lives and we do what we do is because we know there's somebody right now watching us. They're not just glad that we're back here doing a show. It's because you don't understand that maybe they had nothing to look forward to this week. Nothing. Someone watching this right now, whether live or on the replay, this is maybe something that means something to them. And I'm saying it not because I assume that, because we know that. Because people have reached out and say, I look forward to Fridays. I look forward to hanging out with y'all, because guess what? There was a time where I'd go out and do things, but, you know, I served with Brian and Amy, and Brian passed away. Amy's gone. My wife's dead. And I'm sitting here in a room by myself. My kids are estranged from me because I'm just a grumpy old man with mental health issues. And what do you do all day? Who do you talk to? Right? Who understands what I'm dealing with? Apparently these people who do this show tend to understand that. Yeah, we'll joke and we'll laugh and stuff, but sometimes you got to get real and realize, like, oh, these folks are just as fucked up as I am. And the reality is that when it comes to a claim, the other part is, it's not that you're fucked up like we are. We're not fucked up. We are victims of things and live with things that others have never had to deal with nor understand. If you've ever seen us talking about these things before, I've always said, if Brian fell off that vehicle, like I said, and now walks funny, he's not a limp. He has a limp. He broke his leg. He walks a little funny. He maybe uses a cane. He's not the cane. He's not the limp. He's not the disability. He's someone who has a limitation, an injury. But the difference is, for many of you all, you look at Brian and be like, man, whew, that's crazy. I jumped out of some planes too, and man, I just can't walk like I used to. We wear that with a badge of honor. But nobody says, yeah, I have some physical ailments, but I deal with stuff that you can't see, and sometimes I just wish I wasn't around. Sometimes I wish that my eyes wouldn't open. Sometimes I wish, what if on that route from point A to point B, I would have been in that vehicle that day versus my friend who took over for me, who passed away. I should have been on that ride doing XYZ. I should have been someone to not come back, right? My name should have been put on stone, just like my brothers in arms. These are realities that people deal with. That you don't show off. That you don't talk about. Let me tell you about this busted knee. Let me show you these scars. Show me the scars in here. Show me the scars in here. Oh, we don't talk about that, right? No. Because you don't want to be labeled as a depressive, grumpy, PTSD person. But yet when Brian fell off the vehicle, you didn't say he was a limp. When Amy has a respiratory issue because she was by some burn pits and has to use a machine to breathe, you don't look at her and say, look at her and that damn breathing machine. Look at her little weak ass and her damn breathing machine. No, you'd be like, oh, shit, are you okay? Do you need anything? You go first. Let me hold the door for you. Brian, oh man, you're in a wheelchair now? Hey, thank you for your service, blah, blah, blah. The fuck's wrong with you, DP? What?
Mm-hmm.
An injury is an injury is an injury is an injury is an injury. And until we start breaking that stigma and realize that many of us have been exposed to things, sadly, it's DP who ends up being 70 years old who continues to deal with the issues that Brian and Amy never have to deal with from a physical perspective. Because if you break your leg, trust me, you're going to go to the doctor. If something's not working right, you're going to go see someone. No one walks around for a year with impacted tooth. No one walks around with a broken leg. You go see someone. But you know what's funny about veterans? We tend to walk around for a long time with mental health conditions. That Vietnam veteran who doesn't know where his car keys are at, who probably lost his phone right now, which arguably it's in his hand because that's how he's watching us, right? Remembers vividly what happened at location XYZ on XYZ date. Think about it. We all know veterans that, they've been out of service for a while and they will recount to you exactly what happened. I can tell you exactly what I was doing, how things smell, every single thing related to my traumatic events. Because what happens here, it's a stamp. That does not go away. What happened the day prior? I don't know. What happened after that? Couldn't tell you. What happened that day? It was 7 a.m. Walking to work. Got in a vehicle. And then fill in the blank. So these things will linger with a veteran for many, many years. Ladies and gentlemen, we have had Iraq, Afghanistan, Gulf War, Korean War, Vietnam era veterans who've dealt with things for all those years. And I focus on the mental health side because everyone here has a little 10% on the knee and a little 10% on the back and some tinnitus. But you don't talk about what really is affecting you. You don't talk about what really is the issue. It's not that physical thing. Yes, that has some merit. But the things that may have caused those physical things, the things that are affecting that, those are the things that we have to begin to break down. So when it comes to filing a VA claim, you have to understand and be able to speak to your truth to be able to get a proper audience. And like we said in the beginning, it's an effed up system. Just because you get denied does not mean you are wrong. It does not mean you're not entitled to it. It means that it is a messed up system. You took all your documents to the DMV to get your license, and that incompetent person at that window got it wrong, and you left upset. Happens. When it comes to the VA, same thing. If it's on the wrong desk, wrong rater, they rushed something, they got it wrong. Oh, accredited agents, lawyers, this, that, the third. Does everybody that has a license know how to drive? Does everybody that has a JD make them a good lawyer? Does everybody that has an MD, are they a good doctor? Does everybody that has a licensure to do a thing make them the best of that thing that they do? And I'm not discrediting it. What I'm saying is we don't look at someone's credentials sometimes. We look at what they can do. Can you cook this thing? Can you fix that thing? Can you execute that thing? And when it comes to the veteran space, oftentimes there's a lot of chatter about don't listen to this and don't listen to that and this, that, the third. Well, let's go ahead and run a tail of the tape. Show me your wins, show me your numbers, show me your proof, show me what you've done, show me who you've helped. And tell me if you can articulate things in a way that makes sense to help someone. Because again, we got a whole bunch of diplomas and things we could put up on the wall and talk about that. But when it's all said and done, when you deal with something and you have some type of trauma or you've been hit, trust me, what you want is someone to show up and help. And there are veterans out there outside right now who just need someone to show up and help. I'm tired of being denied for the 20th time. I don't deserve these things. Says who? That denial letter? Did you read it? So when it comes to talking about claims, you have to, it starts here. It's like a boxing match. Oh, you got denied? Who told you it was a 1-round situation? If you ask me, how do we do this thing? Get ready for 12 rounds. Well, what do you mean? My friend won his in what? It doesn't matter. If it takes you 10 times to do a thing, will you not do that thing? Because the last point I'll say before I switch it over here to Amy and Brian is a rating not only provides a monetary compensation to a veteran, not only does it allow you to get medication services that you need for your condition, but it also to a good degree validates the fact that it wasn't fucking DP who was crazy. It wasn't just me. Brian's not been just making up his situation. What Amy experienced is real. And there's a vindication when you can say, no, I am a combat veteran who is rated. I'm a disabled combat veteran. And I say it proudly because we have to break the stigma. I did things that no one else chose to do. When I was 17, I went to boot camp. I graduated on my 18th birthday while my friends went out there and did who knows what. When folks were out there looking at the television saying, man, that's crazy, I was on a fucking plane going to go do the business I signed up to do. That's what we did. So as such, what happens afterward, the things that we experience as a 17-year-old, as an 18-year-old, come on now. Iraq, the Gulf War, Vietnam, Korea. You're a fucking kid. You can't even drink. And you had to grow up very quickly to deal with life. And you came back a little bit different. And guess what? When DP comes back and he gets married and has kids and all these things, it's also those around me who have been robbed of who I am. Because you never knew that there was a time where Brian was the life of the party, where he was a positive person, where he danced, where he joked, where he did all these things that today you don't see, because he's just Uncle Brian, Grandpa Brian, a little bit upset, a little bit grumpy. You don't remember him before that tour. You don't remember him before Vietnam. You don't remember him before that incident. You don't remember that veteran before that traumatic event, that military sexual trauma, those things that happened that changed the entire trajectory of their life. I put my right hand up and went to serve and do a thing, but little did I know the realities that lay ahead. And I met them, and I served alongside many, many amazing people, some who are not around today, both in combat or as statistics and victim to our daily alarming rates. So I say that to say that when you get that rating, you not only deserve that, but it's because you served, you deserve it, you can articulate it, but it's also a vindication to the fact of the time that you've lost. You cannot get back those strained relationships, those failed marriages, that failed business, those relationships that you didn't have, those comrades, those bottle buddies, those friends that you couldn't say goodbye to, or I love you, who passed away, who took their lives. Those relationships you won't get back. You were not in the right place to do that thing. So getting a rating is just more than a number and a figure. It's trying to make justice of the fact that you live with a reality that many will not understand. And as such, not only were you robbed of the things you wanted to do in life, you were also, your family also was robbed. Your kids, your wife, etc. So that's the context of how you start the conversation. If you don't get your mind right, the rest is easy, right? Documentation, get a doctor, this, that, the third, that's schematics. But you have to be able to talk to your truth, because when you go into the VA to have a conversation, they say, I read the paperwork, Amy, but tell me what's happening. Well, sometimes I just can't sleep. You ain't saying shit. You have to be able to talk your truth. And when it comes to working with anybody, I don't care if it's a lawyer, a VSO, accredited agent this, non-accredited agent that, your best friend, your neighbor, whoever you choose to help you, whoever, if they do not have the ability to instill in you the mindset to go in there and whoop some fucking ass, you're going to get denied. Because guess what? Is your attorney going to go into the CMP for you? Is the VSO going to the CMP for you? And for those who don't know, the CMP is a compensation and pension exam. It's when the VA says, hey, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about this thing you're claiming. So what's really going on? Yeah, I read the paper, but talk to me. What's going on? If you can't go in there and go to town, I don't care what your trainer said. So I equate this to boxing because guess what? You're going to have to throw that jab. You're going to have to bob and weave. And you're going to get hit in the gut. And you may get denied. And what's that coach going to tell you? Or whoever you're working with? If they don't tell you, well, we tried, maybe it's not meant to be. Have you seen Rocky? Get up, you fucking bum. Get up. Oh, you got knocked down. I ain't hear no bell. Higher level review. Supplemental claim. Go to the board. The little triangle, you think that just showed up? That means a veteran got denied over and over and had to go in front of a judge to have that become precedence. So maybe your situation may not be in the system yet, but that perseverance to push is what makes then Amy Lacey versus VA and turns the situation to where future veterans can claim something that she had the goals to stick it through. It's easy to say Kaluza will be around today. What you don't see is how long did Kaluza have to go through the damn situation to get there. And it means that you got denied a few times. But again, we ain't hear no bell. It's when you stop that the process stops. You've been waiting, you've been neglecting or being denied for 20 years. Well, guess what? What's 2 more years of fighting? You got anything else to do? I don't. Let's, buckle up, Buttercup. It's time to go. And that's what you need to have. Someone to tell you straight up, look, I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. You've been denied many a times. You Google a lot of stuff. And yes, there's free things on the internet. And you can Google stuff. How has that worked out for you? Because I can tell you right now, I can Google how to do foot surgery, but I'm not going to do it. I can Google how to change my transmission, but I'm not going to do it. There's a reason why you go to people who do what they do. You want to learn how to box? Get a boxing coach. You want to lose some weight? Go get a trainer. Oh, but there's free information on the internet on how to box and how to lose weight. Then why can't you box and why are you still overweight then? Right? Why are you still underrated? Because it's free information. Because that means not a jack diddly squat. Right? You need someone to go with you and be with you and push you. You got denied? Okay. Round 2. Reset. We all were in the military. Air Force is in the house. Navy's in the house. Army's in the house. Marine Corps is in the house. Space Force, they're up there. Coast Guard's in the house. And guess how we do the business of the military? You think that the Air Force does a campaign and it doesn't work? All of a sudden you say, well, I guess the war's over. Negative, you reassess, you replan, and you come at another angle. What, right? For those that were in the military, if you had some higher rankings, that's how we plan stuff. That's how we war game. Oh, we came to the left, we couldn't flank. Regroup, hit them on the right. Oh, that wasn't working, we're going to go this way. Right? Make it smaller. 3-man team. We're taking over this building right here. We're going to go in, we're going to make a left, we're going to make a right. We have the floor plan. Guess what happens when we get there? Intel was wrong. There is no door there. What do? Stick to tactics, and we fucking make it happen. Is there a door on the left? Nope. We go right. The tactics are the tactics. Brian has my 6. Amy has the middle. I'm in the front running point. Guess what? Tactics are tactics are tactics. Oh, but the book says there was supposed to be a door on the left. There wasn't. Now what do? What did Mike Tyson say? Everybody got a plan to get punched in the face. Every veteran had a plan till they got denied. It's not for me. Screw this stuff. No. Where was your coach? Where was your VSO? Where was your lawyer? Where was your accredited fill in the blank? I'm not throwing shade at them. What I'm saying is get into the fight with someone that you can trust. In Army talk, if I'm in a foxhole, I want that person in the foxhole with me to stay with me to fight. Not just say, well, it looks like it's not looking good, so we're out of here. I ain't bring no white flag. I will fucking die on this hill. I ain't got shit else to do. Because I earned these services, these benefits, and I will be damned if they're taken away from me. So that's the mentality when it comes to VA claims. Everything else after this, they're fucking relevant. If you can't wrap your head around what I just said, everything else is irrelevant. 214831, a 780 forms, a doctor, a psyche valve. It means nothing if you can't talk to your truth. Because it's but I had all the paperwork and the doctor wrote something and I had everything right. And you walked in, you clammed up. You thought that someone else's paperwork was a nexus letter is a doctor's statement about what their opinion of your situation. But I need you to be able to tell me what's going on. Not, oh, I have a mental health situation and I'm dealing with something. No, don't talk about no damn door being locked. Tell about the fact that your kid doesn't like you. You can't talk to him. Your wife divorces you, left you. You've been fired 3 to 4 times, and you ain't talking about the things you are doing that are not PC to talk about as you deal with your situation. Talk about that. Be real for a second. Don't just make up things that's like, well, I'm paranoid. Stop. Talk about what's really happening, because everyone plays well, you understand. No, I don't. You tell me. Have you had suicidal ideations? Have you let go of yourself? Have you completely given up on life? Do you have the will to live? Are you just recluse to saying forget it all? You have to be able to speak to your truth. Until you can get to that point, I don't care what doctor you see, what would they write, whatever happens, that is irrelevant. It is you. Because when it's all said and done, you're the one that has to show up. You're the one that has to go in there. Like Amy just said, veteran puts a claim in, gets denied. And before you even start, the first thing I'll tell anybody, ADP, what do you think about this stuff? All right, well, here's the plan. Here's the strategy. And guess what? If you get denied, we're going to do this. Because that's how you do stuff. In the military, right, when we put together campaigns, we have a plan, a branch plan, and a backup. If the shit goes south here, this is what we do. I have reinforcement here to move them this way. I'm going to flank left, but guess what? That didn't work. I already got the Air Force ready to rock and roll. Brian, give him the coordinates. Fucking bring it close. Fire close. What's that? Oh, in Navy, put them bitches on. Put that fucking fire out there, right? Because it's not just one plan wins. So whoever you're working with, they have to have a contingency plan. Not this will work to get rated, and it didn't work, and they're like, well, I'm out of plays here. You chose the wrong ghostwriter. You chose the wrong person to work with you. You chose the wrong person to confide and talk and get information from. So you have to call your shots beforehand. If he comes from the left, you bob and weave and you go to the right. I'll pull all the analogies out. So that has to be part of this. Because guess what's going to happen? When that client called Amy and said, oh, I got denied. Yeah, we talked about it. High level review. Oh, that got denied. Talked about it. Supplemental. That didn't go through either. Talked about it. It's round 4. We ain't done. But they keep denying me. Are you breathing? Because as long as you're breathing, the fight ain't over. Oh, if you want to give up, got it. You don't want to do it? No problem. But as long as you want to keep pushing, we ain't going nowhere. You want to keep flat, we're here. Because if it happens on the second one or the fourth go around, it's going to happen one way or the other. And that has to be the mentality. So that's the genesis, the foundation of how this whole concept of VA claims has got to be. All the other stuff, we could break it down and go into details all day. But you have to start here to understand that if you have served and you are ethically and legally and morally entitled to a condition, you need to file that thing. Stop playing games. I don't know who you're impressing because it ain't us. You're lying to yourself. Over to Amy and Brian. And I'll read from my teleprompter, so that was all Amy.
Right. So you were using the analogy of boxing and Mike Tyson, and he has a quote that says, discipline is doing what you hate to do, but doing it like you love it. And I like that quote. It can apply to so many different things in life, just in general. And especially for claims. So a couple things that I would say for claims that, one, going back to the basics is kind of what I'm thinking, is doing an intent to file. An intent to file, if you're thinking about doing a claim, or even if you submit a claim, the first thing you should do after you submit is always do an intent to file. An intent to file preserves your date for 1 year. So when you're talking to your coach and they're saying, hey, get this evidence, get this document, go to your doctor, find this, it might take a little bit of time, and sometimes life happens. And so before you know it, 2, 3, 4 months sometimes passes, or, an emergency came up, or whatever the case may be. So that intent to file will, once you go through the process, and if you're approved for your claim, they'll backdate it to your original intent to file date. And a lot of people think they're done filing claims, but remember that you're never really done. So not to go too deep, but 100% is not necessarily your end all be all. And so regardless of the outcome of a claim, if you think it's going to be a slam dunk, or you're unsure, always go into va.gov and do an intent to file. I can't stress that enough. I'm the one gal that I helped, she had an intent to file in January of 2019. She just got awarded her claim, maybe a month ago or so, $94,000 of back pay, right? That money adds up, which then leads to what DP and Brian will kind of touch on a little bit later. But so it's important to have your intent to file. You could put an intent to file your claim in a month 11, and the VA take a year to rate you. Well, then you have 2 years of back pay. Again, even if you're at 100%, always the first thing to do is go in and do an intent to file. From the time you log in to where you end, it takes 3 minutes, and that's with the verification code. Or you can call the 1-800 number and do it over the phone when you're driving to the grocery store or driving to work. So that's something that's really important. Another thing that has helped a couple veterans lately is the MFRs. So memorandum for records after your CMPs. I highly recommend them. I know it saved me for one of my claims, and it saved quite a few other people as well. So the one recently that saved a veteran was migraines. He went into a CMP, and his documentation from the provider said he had 6 to 8 a month. He told the CMP examiner he had 6 to 8 a month. He turned in his documentation from my Migraine Buddy app that validated the 6 to 8 a month. The CMP examiner, I don't know if they maybe waited till the end of the day to do their documentation, but they put 3 to 4 a month. Well, when he did his memorandum for record, he put, the CMP, he thought it went great. It was a really good MFR. And he said, she asked me how many I have, blah, blah, blah. And he put in there that he told the examiner he had 6 to 8 a month. Well, the rater sided with the veteran because he looked at what he wrote, which then looked at his documentation. And so he sided with the veteran. So if you look at the CMP notes compared to what the rater decided, you can see he sided with the veteran. So MFRs, super quick and easy to do. I tell my clients, even if you're driving, if you're in your car, speak it into your phone and then put it on a Word document. Go to your va.gov where your existing claim is. Second tab is files. Upload it, put it in there. Done. Don't wait, because sometimes they make a decision really quick. And then sometimes you forget the details. So I recommend always plan for an extra hour after your CMP to get that MFR done. And these are kind of things that sometimes we forget to tell people because maybe we run out of time or we get off track. And so I want to stress those two things, intent to file and MFR. Also,
and I would add to that, Amy, that's whether it went good or bad.
Yes.
Because a big thing there is, let's say, for example, that I am the rater, Brian is the veteran, and the examiner is Amy. By the time the examiner finishes their notes off of Brian's exam, and that gets to me, right, the rater, to do my thing, it may be the same day or a day, whatever case may be. But the veteran doesn't know what's coming to me until the decision is rendered. And sometimes we'll ask the veteran, hey, how'd that go? Well, not too good, but we'll see what happens. You're going to be denied, and then whatever you cry afterward, it's too late. Because, now, yeah, you said 6, not 3 migraines. Got it, right? Now he didn't pay attention to you. Yeah, got it. Because you got denied. And because now you see, whatever the rationale was. In contrast to Brian walks out and says, well, Dr. Amy was very dismissive and short. They didn't know my name or what I was there for. I was there for a musculoskeletal thing, and they said they can just visually measure me, not pull out the measuring tapes, etc.
Yep.
Wait a second. No, I don't care if you've been doing this for 50 years. I've been waiting for a long time to get into the CMP, and we're going to do it by the books. And that sometimes, because it gets to the rater sometimes before even the examiner's documentation or at the same time, think about it. Why would I have, right, the examiner's documents and veteran Brian's statement? Why aren't they jiving?
Yeah.
Something happened, because immediately after said CMP, I have here his complaint of her dismissiveness. And here, this seems to be kind of wishy-washy, but in the absence of this, I'm going with what the examiner has examined, right? So it's that timeliness of whether things went well or not, it's crucial. You walk into a CMP, they're dismissive. We have heard things where literally examiners have said, you're like every other veteran just trying to get something. You don't deserve these benefits. You're just wasting our time, blah, blah, blah. Don't fight with the examiner. They don't make the decisions. Mm-hmm. No problem. Thank you. And write that up. Call 1-800-827-1000. Call the VA. Make a complaint. Write a memo. Submit that into your claim. Examiner was dismissive, was abusive, was late, did not know who I was disorganized, all those things. Because unbeknownst to you, you are appointment number 8 of 20 that day. And that whole disshuffledness of not knowing where anything is at means that, guess what? What Amy wrote up may not be Brian's situation. It might be somebody else's, because after 20 people, who was who? So exactly. All those little things really are huge, even if it went well, because At times you think it went well, and many times it maybe did not go well. So I would stress that, especially for something that doesn't go well, don't wait about to see what happens afterward. You need to get right on it immediately, because you will have a better chance of getting a better audience with the rater, because it's happening in real time versus after you saw the decision. Now you want to complain.
Well,
Well,
and
and
I'll
I
just
would also
add
say,
on that real quick because I
oh
had a
yes,
vet who actually came out of their CMP exam and they thought, man, this person has been supportive. We had a great conversation. They're in the fight for me. They didn't
yep,
write the memorandum for record, but and that's just because they were lulled, they were pulled into this trap,
yep,
thinking that that examiner is their buddy. And it's an easy trap to fall into,
yeah.
right? Well, what happened? Sure enough, got denied. It was like completely ignored everything that was told to the examiner. So it doesn't matter. It's not like you're telling on somebody. You're just stating objectively how the exam went, how long it took, what was the attitude of the examiner, what kind of things did you talk about. So did you express these severe symptoms during the exam? If you're capturing that also in your memorandum for record, then you're creating a contemporaneous recording of that event and you submit that to your claim. And so now it's a matter of record. You can compliment the examiner and the positive attitude that they had. But if there's facts in that they don't record into their medical opinion, like they were making it out to be when they talk to you, then you've got that protection there.
Well, and also it kind of holds the CMP examiner accountable, because I can't tell you how many times people have said, "Oh yeah, they're going to take care of me." They said I'm, that I'm at least 40 to 80%. Well, when have we seen a back get 80%? So, like, it holds them accountable too. So if they're telling you things, they should never be telling you, "Oh yeah, you're going to get to 100," or "Oh yeah," because they can't make that decision. It has to go to the rater. But some CMP examiners do. Um, and so it holds them accountable. And what it also does is, if you get denied, if you get that evidence in there before they make a decision, they have to include that in the evidence that they reviewed. So if they didn't review it and you get denied, you can go back for your HLR and say, "Hey, I did a memorandum for record and it wasn't reviewed." Or if reference the memorandum for record that you submitted the day of your CMP, that the CMP examiner was dismissive, so I'm asking for another CMP, or a fair shake at this. So memorandum for records are very important. And like I said, you can just type away and upload it, or you can follow a format, whatever. I just typed away on mine because I'm long-winded. Imagine that. But and so those two things I wanted to definitely talk about. And then I also wanted to talk about being uncomfortably vulnerable. So I would say even going with your coach, or going with the psych doc or the med team or your CMP. So I had a client today that made this comment, and he was kind of shy. And after thinking about it, I thought, you know what? I think we need to do a better job at encouraging you guys to tell your truth. And you don't know what you don't know. It's one of DP's favorite quotes. So, um, you don't know what you don't know, right? So, if you're wondering, just ask the question. In this situation, this changes this person's claim completely. Completely. And so you I understand some things are uncomfortable and some things are not easy to talk about, but to get the ratings that you deserve, you have to be uncomfortably vulnerable. You have to ask those questions. Can you get rated for a, say, military sexual trauma that you didn't report? Yes. Yes, you can. You don't have to report it. So yes, you can, and so ask those questions. And I would say that, until you feel kind of what DP was saying too, is you have to be able to go in and speak to your truth. Nobody's going to go in there with you. So practice getting those things out, whether it's writing it, whether it's saying it out loud, whether you're saying it to the mirror, make note cards, whatever you have to do to make sure you hit those things. It can be uncomfortable to talk to a complete stranger about issues with your husband, issues with your wife, issues with your kids, issues at work. Are you happy that you've had 27 jobs? Probably not. But if you withhold that your wife kicked you out and you're sleeping in your car and you lost your job, then you're not going to get the rating that you are entitled, that you deserve if you're not willing to tell your whole truth. So I always explain to veterans that, you're in your own way if you're not willing to talk about even the uncomfortable things. And so make sure you're honest, make sure allow yourself grace and be uncomfortably vulnerable and tell your truth, own your CMP, and know that's your appointment to get what you need to out. If they cut you off, call the 1-800 number. Get in touch with your coach. Say, I don't think this was a fair CMP. Or, it was supposed to be an hour. He was running late and I only got 10 minutes with him. That's not okay. So make sure that you are your own best advocate. And if you wonder or you question, was this okay? Reach out to your coach. Excuse me. And ask the question and really understand the process. Look at the CFR. Understand the process. Ask questions to your coach. Email your coach. Hey, I have some questions. Can you help me answer these questions? If they can't jump on a call, maybe they can email them to you. Go in there prepared and ready. So maybe you don't have to do an HLR, or maybe you don't have to go back a supplemental. I've seen a lot of clients who, they come and they say, well, I probably should have told them about this, or I probably should have told them about that. Yes, you should have, because you're telling me that you're 70, but you didn't want to tell them your symptoms why you feel like you're at a 70. So put it all out there, be uncomfortably vulnerable. And I would also suggest that be sure that you're ready, especially when it comes to MSTs or, significant trauma, PTSD. Make sure that you're ready to go in there and tell your truth. If you have your intent to file, do you have to do it tomorrow? File your claim when you're ready to file your claim. If you don't think that you can go in there and talk to a CMP examiner, maybe you need a couple practice rounds with your counselor, or maybe you need to bounce it off your friend or your wife or your husband until you feel like you can go in there and speak your truth. So those are the things that are kind of on my mind.
And the powerful thing about that is it's not the first time that you're going to talk about these things. Mm-hmm. You cannot, again, we've done this for a while. I've been in this game for a little bit. I just didn't Google this yesterday, obviously. But that doesn't just come from day one, right? It comes from repetition. When we are talking to veterans or we're having these sessions, this is like language immersion. You don't know how to talk this language. And the whole thing of like, well, I can't figure this out. Well, you didn't know how to drive a car, but you learned. You didn't know how to use an iPhone, but you learned. I don't care what it is. You can learn it. Get that out of your head. Well, all this tech stuff is beyond me, but you have an iPhone and you know how to send poop emojis. Sorry, Grandpa Jim. You can learn this, right? It's just understanding a new thing. And I get it. It sucks. It shouldn't have to be this way. No one has to be their own doctor, their own lawyer, their own advocate. But in this little thing called VA claims, sadly, you got to own the process because the system is not doing what it should do. It's improving. It's got better, but it's not where it should be. And even then, there are instances where people have horrible experiences. And it's better, right? And this is now for my Second Amendment, folks, to have and not need than to need and not have. It is better to be prepared and not need to use that preparation than to need that preparation and not have it. It is good to be armed and not need it than to need it and not be armed, whether that be a weapon or information when it comes to what you're dealing with. So that's what I would say. Because for some, it's like, man, this is crazy. It shouldn't be this hard. Okay. You know what I mean? Some fights end quick, some fights don't. You don't know what you're walking into. Just because Amy's claim lasted 5 days and she got it doesn't mean mine's is going to go. And on the chat, you'll see conversations of people like, man, I was a first time go. I went right to where I got to. Someone else like, man, I've been fighting this forever. I can't figure it out. Right? So, Brian, over to you.
That's great. And I want to give a shout out to Jared and Mark, a couple of vets I've worked with. It's great seeing these guys in here, and I love Mark saying, round 3, ready to fight again.
Yes.
As Yogi Berra said, it ain't over till it's over.
Wait a second. Whoa. All names used in these examples are fictional. The DMV is not necessarily the ire of our examples. So, like a movie, these are fictional characters. We are not attacking the DMV. I feel like our registrations are all about to be terminated. Mark's gonna go up there tomorrow and be like, "I'll show you." Click.
He's gonna say, "What happened to my license? Did they get it?" No, but so that's just it, though. You got to keep the fight going. It ain't over till it's over, and it ain't over till you quit or until you achieve what you legitimately are claiming for. So if there, and I tell vets all the time, there's always a path forward. If you're claiming something that you are legitimately dealing with, there's always a path forward. So just because you get knocked down time and again, we just have to see. We just have to, basically assess what it is, what kind of maybe some baloney rationale that the VA is throwing at you. Maybe they're throwing out rationale that doesn't even apply to you. They're copied something from somebody else's decision and pasted it into yours. So all kinds of crazy stuff goes on, and you can get the same claim in to the 3 different people and get 3 different decisions. So that goes back to the fact that it's not about the VA structure. It's about the people that are working those roles as raters, as DROs, as you got people out on the outside who are accredited as VSOs. So whenever I started my claims process, I went to a couple of different VSOs, because, hey, who else is supposed to know, right? But just because you have an accreditation, I can tell you, I've got degrees. That doesn't mean I'm an expert in the fields that necessarily got a degree in. So, it's great. That stuff's great, and that's a way to open the conversation. But whoever you're going to work with, you make sure that you can, try to get that vibe from them on if they know what they're talking about, if they know that they're ready to lay out a strategy with you and to stick with you through the fight, because the reality is you're going to be successful overall if you stick with it and keep fighting through it. Some of these topics that DP and Amy have touched on quite nicely. One of the ones I wanted to highlight is the fact that if you don't know what the VA is looking for on a particular rating, how do you know that you're speaking to those symptoms? So I'll use mental health, and mental health is a popular one because, hey, unfortunately, so many of us have to deal with that stuff. The VA has this nice little thing called the CFR out there in the ECFR lane, interwebs, that you can look up and you can say, all right, well, for this particular condition, the VA has these ratings for it, let's say 0 to 100%. And for each of these rungs of the rating level, it has a listing of symptoms. So to DP's point, you don't want to walk in there and you don't want to just spout off, oh, okay, it reads here paranoia, it reads depression. You don't want to go in there and talk about in terms of, symptoms that you're reading off of a list. One of the things I always recommend is look at those symptoms, look at the symptoms from the top to the bottom. And if you're dealing with things that are at the 100% and 70% level, why would you talk about anything at the 50, 30, and 10% level? You only have so much time when you're sitting in front of an examiner. You only have so much space when you're writing out a personal statement, which is your time to express what's going on to the VA rater. Use that time and that space wisely to focus on those most severe symptoms and take an inventory of yourself.
Did you say CFR?
CFR. Oh, Paul. Boop. There we go. So,
well, crazy concept.
Black letter right law here, right? This is regulations that guide the VA as to how they're supposed to conduct their ratings. So if you're going through here and you can identify symptoms that you're dealing with, and trust me, I understand because I've been through this process, and I know others in here have gone through this process. When you're going through a claim, it is a learning experience. You're going to learn more about yourself than what you ever expected to, because the reality is that all you know is that you might feel like crap during the times. You might have certain feelings that going on that you may not be able to attribute to be able to put a pinpoint on it, but you may not have realized that the fact that you can't hold down a job is somehow related to what it is that you're dealing with. So understanding those rating criterias allows you to kind of itemize what it is that you're dealing with. But whenever you're talking to the rater through your statements, or you're talking to the examiner, have an example of how that symptom is manifesting itself in your life. How is that symptom impairing your life? Either occupational.
But no, the system's never wrong, Brian. There's never a case where what I said earlier happens. What do you mean, DP? There's never an instance where you may have different examiners at different times that may not describe the same disability with the same language. Features of disabilities that may have been persistent or unchanged may be overlooked. The system never is wrong. Stop that. 4.2 CFR 38. Again, and that's the whole thing, right? Because if you want to talk about stuff, it's like, all right, let's just start talking to the facts, right? It's just the law. This is not DP talking. This is not your license. This is not your accreditation. This is the law. The end. This is what it comes down to. And when it comes down to this, you have got to begin to take a look at this, and this is where this information comes from. Not just sitting here going, blah, 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 to hear myself talk. No, literally. It is daggone in there where their interpretation of reports sometimes may be a little bit off. That happens. You know what I'm saying? So, literally, it is incumbent upon the rating board to return a report as inadequate for evaluation purposes if things are not there. So things have to be looked at. You have to hold things accountable. But I really just want to make a point to say, look, this is out here. Take a look at this. And while Brian's talking about that, because about symptoms, what he mentioned about symptoms and all that stuff, I said it before. Let the rater rate, let the examiner examine, and let the veteran be a veteran. What does that mean, DP? Well, the school of Google that you went through does not make you the person to say what you should be. Well, DP, I don't have all the symptoms at the 70 range. I have all at the 50, but I have a few at the 70, so I'm not going to talk about that because I looked up the law and I looked up the chart. Well, it says here, the higher of two evaluations, where there's a question as to which of two evaluations shall be assigned, the higher evaluation will be assigned if the disability picture more nearly approximates the criteria required for that rating. Otherwise, the lower rating will be assigned. So what does that mean in English? Simple as this. This is the mental health criteria. Point blank, right? And you see here you have the 100 bucket, you have the 70 bucket, the 50 bucket, the 30 bucket. And what I said earlier about, you guys are, at times we tend as veterans to not talk about things that make sense, is because I guarantee you, everyone here in some shape, fashion, or form has literally made a point to say things like this. So tell me, Amy, what are some of the things that you deal with? Well, I have some depressed mood, and I have anxiety and some panic attacks, and, I have some sleep issues and memory problems, and you haven't told me a whole lot of nothing. And that's why you got 30%. But how is it that I'm supposed to get higher? Because you neglected to talk about things like this. And again, this isn't me telling you what to say, because the law says here, such as occupational social impairments with reduced reliability and productivity due to symptoms as, such as, like this. Not necessarily this verbatim. It's not, oh, I Googled it. So, yeah, doc, I got some flattened effects and circumstantial, circumtillatory, and stereotype speech. That is not going to cut it. You need to be able to, is there echo? You need to be able to speak to your truth, which marries up to this. So, example, right? Are you getting more than just some random panic attacks? More than once a week, right? Do you have difficulty understanding complex command? You went from leading combat troops, and then now you in turn can't even process simple things, right? Short-term memory impaired. You were sharp as a rock and you can't remember your own phone number. Impaired judgment, abstract thinking, disturbance of mood and motivation, never happened. Difficulty establishing and maintaining effective relationship. Sounds familiar, right? Divorce number 3, job number 10 this year, right? But it doesn't stop there, because if you go just a little bit higher, you may have some of these situations, right? At the 50, it's difficulty establishing and maintaining. At the 70, it's the inability to establish and maintain. It's not difficult to make friends. You can't. Your wife left you. You've been fired. You thought, I'll be an entrepreneur and start a job. And guess what? No one wants to work for you. Okay? Suicidal ideations. You had the what if thoughts. Obsessional rituals that interfere with your routine activities of living. It's right here. It's right there. The things you deal with. Brian, what are you doing for the past 7 hours? Going down this rabbit hole of YouTube trying to figure out how to do a thing. That's not research. This is ridiculous now. Fill in the blank. You're not binge watching a new series. You're watching the same show over and over and over and over and over again. This is not healthy anymore, right? And for some people, right? Because okay, you had the 70, but I'm not at the 100. I'm not saying you're not. I'm not saying you are. I'm not a medical professional. What I do know is that some people may be able to look at this and say, you know what? I can give a few examples of this. And what you failed to do when you had your psych eval, when you went to the CMP, is talk to the truth. To talk about the fact that you have had hallucinations, that you've had gross impairments of thoughts and communication. Oh, DP, you're not a psychologist and stuff. I never said I was. Never said you were either. So stop trying to be one, because I'm not one either. But speak to your truth and let them do their business. You be the veteran, let the rater rate, let the examiner examine. Go see your psychologist, have a conversation. How's this week? No. This isn't a check-in. I need to get an assessment of where I am at. The intermittent inability to perform daily activities of living, which include minimal personal hygiene. And I'll give this one here right to you. Think about that for a second. At the 70, right? You have ideation, obsessional rituals, speech intermittent, impaired control, spatial disorientation, difficulty, and what you always hear about, right? Amy, when you have a CMP, don't take a shower, right? Make sure you go in there looking like high hell. Okay, they're trying to say neglect of personal hygiene. That's not you didn't take a shower today. That's that back in the day, Amy, you couldn't catch her out here not looking, you know what I'm saying, to the nines, and Brian not looking in certain ways, and now you wear the same thing over and over, and you let things go. You're neglecting your personal hygiene. Not a one day you didn't shower thing. It is a pattern, right? Your wife, your kids are looking at you. Now, from the 70 to the 100, it goes up a little bit. So again, you have to understand this. Because if I go up here, I'm saying at the 100, intermittent inability to perform daily activities of living. That means it's not Brian just has let himself go a little bit. I'm saying that Brian now, when his wife left him on Thursday to go see, her sisters or what have you, come back on Monday, Tuesday, and Brian's still on the same couch, bunch of pizza boxes, same clothes, hasn't showered, hasn't done anything. You had 2 tasks this weekend. Garbage is piling up. Make sure you take it out Sunday night. That did not happen. Garbage is overflowing. Daily activities of living, things you should do, you're not doing anymore. To the point where we're beyond just minimal hygiene, right? It's, hey, Billy, your doctor keeps telling you, if you just would wash your feet, you wouldn't have that fungus. you now have bed sores because you're not taking care of yourself. And again, these are examples, but it's going beyond just, oh, I didn't take a shower. Like, you have now issues that go beyond certain points. Minimal personal hygiene may go to a point, and you've seen issues like this. You may have heard of these things. But again, if you can't speak to this stuff and you don't know what this is, then you cannot go to your provider, your medical provider, your CMP, and have a real conversation of, hey, look, here is the reality. This has affected me, not only in my work, but in my life, in many areas of it. And the reality is that there are times that, yes, I can put my name and sign and give you examples where I have had these ideations. It's happened. True story. Not me reading the regs, me telling you my life, me telling you what I'm dealing with. That's what has to happen. But you're out there self-diagnosing and self-rating and saying, well, I'm not going to talk about this because it's not something that, I meet the requirements for. Again, you saw where I showed you again here on the document. It's not you that needs to do that thing. Higher of 2 evaluations. Stop trying to diagnose yourself. Stop trying to rate yourself. Let the rater rate. Let the examiner examine. Let the veteran be the veteran. You speak your truth, and we'll deal with the rest in the wash. That's what has to happen. And again, this is just, look, on the fly. Like, look, if you cannot have a conversation and get down to nitty gritty, let's talk regs. We do this all day. All day. You know what I'm saying? So there's your accreditation. There's your law. Like, stop it. The truth is the truth is the truth is the truth. The facts are the facts.
Yep.
And you have to be able to point to this stuff and go home and read this thing and kind of start understanding the language, because it is incumbent that you get this information. If not, you will not get a fair shake. Because what's going to happen is you're literally going to go down and you're going to make a point to, again, like we talked about, talk down to what your symptoms may be. You're talking 30% symptoms every day of the week. You're talking 10% symptoms every day of the week, but you have so many at the 70s and above, but you're not speaking to them. So you're shortchanging yourself because no one is telling you straight up, hey, know your truth, know your story, not go home and study these words. No, I'll give you a story, an example for all these daggone things. It's just the reality. But you cannot, to Amy's point, like we said earlier, you cannot wait until the CMP to make that be the first time you talk about this, because it's just not gonna work. You're not gonna get a fair shake because you cannot talk about these things and really be real about what's happening. So I wanted to bring that up because Brian said CFR, and we're just over here talking stuff, so we go right to the law.
Oh, that's the source. So whenever somebody talks about accreditation or somebody talks about some other qualification, that's the source. That's the source of the knowledge. That's the source of what's guiding the VA. And there's the 38 CFR Part 3 and the 38 CFR Part 4. Those 2 parts, beyond any of the others, make up the overwhelming majority of the things that you're going to deal with when you're going through a VA claims process. And there are certainly other parts to the 38 CFR, but the point is that having an understanding of what it is that the VA is, how they consider the ratings for different conditions. DP just talked about migraines a little bit ago. If you didn't know, but except for what somebody just mentioned, or you heard somebody mention while you're sitting at the VA waiting for an appointment, I guess waiting before pre-COVID days. But you're sitting around and you hear somebody say, "Hey, I got migraines and it's really bad. I can't do anything with it," and that's all you hear. So you just think I just got bad headaches. Well, if you don't realize that the 2 criteria for migraines is severity and frequency, if you don't understand those 2 things go together to make up what rating that you...
No, that's bullcrap, man. You're supposed to talk about you're supposed to talk about your medicines you're taking and how many times you saw a doctor. It's healthcare conversation. What are you talking about?
Aleve, right, or Excedrin, or whatever it is, right?
Oh, what a crazy concept!
Look at that. Yeah, so right there, migraines, frequently, prostrating. So frequency and prostrating. So prostrating is the severity of it. That's the I can't work, I can't drive, I gotta shut down in a quiet room. I gotta, you're doing anything that you can to alleviate the pain and symptoms that those migraines are producing. So
Two things:
there you go.
frequency and intensity. Where, oh, where on the CFR for a rating of 50% on migraines does it say, run me all the medications you've been on for the last 10 years? Save that 20-page document and take it somewhere. Because the conversation here is not a diagnosis, is not healthcare. Ladies and gentlemen, I would present to you that you have got to understand there's a difference between healthcare and benefits.
Yep.
We've crossed checkbox of healthcare. You have a neurologist. You take medication. That is established. That is not a disability. What did I say in the beginning? It is the symptoms to which your medical condition rises. Nowhere in here does it talk about the fact that you need to have no. Here at the 0, you look at less frequent attacks with characteristics of prostrating attacks averaging 1 in a 2-month over the last several months for 10. Or the 30 characteristics of prostrating attacks occurring on average once a month over the last several months. Or frequent, completely prostrating and prolonged attacks productive of severe economic inadaptability. You're having these things so many times a month to where that is affecting you. Intensity and frequency. If you are talking about anything else, I'm here to tell you, you save yourself going to law school and going to VSO school and going to whatever school you want to go to and paying whoever you want to pay. You're not going to get a fair shake because you're not talking to the law. That is what the Raiders are looking at. Where in this whole big statement and all the stuff you produce and all this buddy statements and all the stuff you've given have you talked about this? So in a whole hour in the CMP, and you not once talked about how many times do you get these migraines and how severe are they? That's not DP. That's the law. Simple. Do this all day, folks.
Not advocating you just repeat what you read, but it's important. Just like you go to a job interview, you want to understand what it is that they're evaluating, what they're going to be evaluating you on. Well, you're being evaluated based off of how well you're able to communicate those symptoms in correlation to what they're rating you on, how they're rating. So if you understand how they're rating you, then you will be better to you're able to speak directly and effectively, right, to what it is that they're looking for and not go all this as narrative. It's like, you got this long story that, I used to be a high school star, you dated the prom queen, and, you go through all this long winding history. It's like, right, man, you should be writing a novel. You could probably publish this book, but the problem is you're going to fail in your claim because you're hiding all the facts, the essential facts to your claim throughout all that narrative. So you just hit the facts, and you know that by going to the 38 CFR Part 4. So those are the main things I wanted to touch on. There's so many things that we could go over, but again, we see, unfortunately, we see people out there that they at one time they were working in one capacity. We see people being bashed for charging, for helping veterans out there with their claims process. And let's be real, unless they're a VSO or somebody like that, you're going to be paying something, right? People are running a business. So you go to pay them for a service because, hey, I can tell you what, I went the free route. I went to multiple VSOs, accredited people who are educated and supposed experts, and got completely terrible advice. And who knows where I would be today had I not advanced beyond the limitations of that support group. So I was more than happy to find a group that, I wound up having to pay a nice little bill, but I also probably would not be where I am today had I not found then somebody like DP, and actually DP is very much part of the group that I became part of that helped me get to where I am today because of that expertise. So it just gets a little frustrating hearing people bash others for taking compensation whenever you can find it for free. Well, let me tell you, yeah, you got the internet. Absolutely go out there, do it for free if you can. But let me tell you, that is not always an option. And those that are providing free service, unfortunately, sometimes you get what you pay for. Right.
And don't settle.
And
That's the biggest thing. Don't settle.
yeah,
If you find someone who's awesome and they're great at what they do and they can help, great. But don't just settle for whoever I'm working with if they're not able to really give you the time and attention to help you get someplace. Because again, when we're talking about these different things and we're bringing up these points, it's just to at least begin the process of saying, hey, this isn't medical advice, this isn't legal advice, this isn't financial advice, but this is something for you to start thinking and start taking ownership, because whatever we've done in the past may have not worked. So again, if you're going to look at anything, right, again, go in there, right? Everybody has a bad back. Okay, it's a bunch of ratings in here. But the question is, are things even being looked at the right way come CMP time, right? What are they asking you to do? Like when we're saying, hey, make sure they pull out certain stuff, because look, there is a reason. It's not me just saying here, oh, the doc, for example, said they could visually measure this stuff. No, because if you're not over that certain degree there, guess what? That's what's tied up here when you start looking at range of motion past a certain point, right? That degree of so-and-so, forward flexion of the cervical spine, 50 degree or less with favorable so-and-so, right? 30 degrees or less, like those numbers mean something. So you cannot just say, oh, well, the doctor said he could eyeball it. Well, that might mean the difference between a 10 and a 20. Stop it. Because again, this is what they have to make sure they do. So when it comes to musculoskeletal conditions, right, you have to know what they're looking at here, right? Flexion limited to 10% for thighs situation in this case, right? Hip and thighs, right? Knees, flexion between 25. Like these are some pretty straight numbers. And if you don't literally make a point to ensure that they do it the right way and capture that information, well, might have a problem, right? So again, this is, again, we're not going to go completely into it, even though we always say that we end up doing it anyway. But, it's about really breaking it down, because it's not just saying, oh, this is something that was Googled. So when it comes to the VA claim process, yes, you know what I mean? And again, everybody gets a little lick here, right? It's not about saying this is wrong or this is right. It's just saying be informed, know your information, and whoever you choose to do business with in any capacity, whether you do it this way or that way, it does not matter. What matters is you get what you're due, because to go years and years without what you do is just incorrect. You have people suffering needlessly because they don't know how to say something, how to articulate something, and that's wrong. So that's what the nature of this conversation is, of talking about VA claims. So again, some questions are in the chat. We're answering them as they're kind of coming up. Some things obviously going to be more private, so we may go one-on-one or kind of refer to someone, because we're not going to have someone's information just out there. So sometimes we'll bring up certain, comments and things. But this is the biggest point here. I think that it's huge to be able to focus on. We got Vernon in the house, 17 and a half years, U.S. Air Force. Great information. Thank you.
Vernon, hi.
Heyo.
Oh, hey, what's up, Sinsel?
We got Sinsel in the house. You know him. I know him. It's Al. And guess what? He's here not only once, he's here twice. No, check it out. He's here in the Dapper Blue, and then he's hitting you with the side profile.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing. Man. He's here twice. Sinsel says cheap isn't good, and good help isn't free. Well, look, you know what I mean? It is what it is. But again, if there are certain questions, please feel free to put that questions that you have there. We're going to start moving along here towards the last two. Trust me, we'll not get into as much detail in the next two things, because we're about to talk some Chinese and Greek and stuff. So that's not what the point is here. Oh my goodness, we got my sister in the house, passenger shaming. If nice. You guys, hold on, let me go ahead and make a point to make this special. If you guys have not checked out Passenger Shaming on Instagram, please go check her out. I will tell you, as a person who spent a lot of time on an aircraft flying, the things we have seen are crazy. and her page has all the receipts. It is amazing. And please understand that it's not they're shaming passengers. It's not that. It is literally the things that are submitted by people flying. It is just the bee's knees. So if you guys have a chance to go ahead and check her out, please do so. Great page. Glad to see you indeed back here as well. Let me see here.
I was watching something that she had on her page the other day. I must have watched that video probably 50 times. So, like, that's the best page to go to and just sit and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. That's yes, unbelievable.
Like literally, this is a true thing. Like someone's foot, yeah. Like this is happening. It is a great. So, these folks are going to town with the crawfish. It's man,
that's crazy.
You know. So it's great, a great page. Definitely check it out. Please give her a follow. You know what I mean? I don't know how she's gonna keep her page up. She only has a follower and a half apparently, it seems here. So please give her a follow because her followership numbers need to go up. But great page. Definitely check her out. Just amazing. What did she say? I want the crawfish though. Well, look, that is approved. Yes. So we establish the point of looking at a rating, right? So when you start looking at that, I think that the other issue is, okay, so you fought the fight. We talked about, you did it, you got rating, you got it. That's great. Now what? Right? Let's start looking at being progressive, looking forward, looking at new things. And the fact of the matter is that many folks are aware of standard types of investment vehicles. We don't talk about that. We don't talk financial literacy. We don't talk about the fact that if you are of the mindset, which is not wrong, but many of us have come from the mindset of save. You don't have debt and save. And there was a time when that was, a valid point. But sadly, we are not in the 50s or 60s. In the 70s, we dropped the gold standard and the backing of the US dollar changed. And what that means is that the way that basically the world operates is on a system of debts in some shape, fashion, or form. That's the reality. And as prices have inflated, if you do not understand how to leverage things, how to leverage debt the right way, I would argue you are missing the boat. A great example, quote that I read the other day was, the poor spend, the middle class save, and the rich invest. And I don't believe that there's a reason why a veteran who has served their country should not have access to information. Because here's the reality. This concept of Bitcoin, it's not a new concept to some of us, right? Many of you have heard it now and it sounds great and crazy, right? Bitcoin's at this amount and it's crazy and it's up and down. $50,000 Bitcoin, $40,000 Bitcoin. That'd be crazy to get a Bitcoin. There's somebody who bought it when it was $1. There's somebody who bought it when it was $20,000. In 2017, it was down to almost $4,000. So we had $4,000 in a Bitcoin then. Now it's worth $40,000. Show me another investment vehicle that could do those things. And by no chance or no way of the imagination am I saying this replaces anything. What I'm saying is diversification. And what I'm saying is you don't put all your eggs in one basket. So when it comes to this concept, right, of cryptocurrencies and NFTs and stuff, what we're looking at here is what they are, right? Textbook definition: a digital or virtual currency that's secured by cryptography, which makes it nearly impossible to counterfeit or double spend. Many cryptocurrencies are decentralized networks based on blockchain technology over a distributed ledger enforced by disparate networks of computers. And a whole lot of stuff that makes no sense. Okay, we'll come back to the NFTs in a second. But really what we're talking about here at the end of the day is cryptocurrencies as we know them. It's not a new concept. Cryptocurrencies as we know them today really was born outside right after immediately the crash of the real estate market in 2008, right? And we don't know who the person is. that put it together, the group of people that put it together, but it was not the first time this concept came around. Prior to 2008, other groups came into that. The concept of double lending, the concept of how things are set up, goes back to the concept of what I mentioned regarding debts. So fiat currency, Valerie made a point to kind of share here, is exactly where we're at right now, right? The backing of the gold dollar is not there. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. But double spending really means, when you looked at what happened with the real estate crash, it was, let's say Amy wants to buy a house. She gets a mortgage through me. I, in turn, underwrite it to Brian's company, and he does a thing. And you literally had instances where, to make it simple, you remember there was a time when you saw people buying houses and you're like, how does this make sense? Valerie, tell me. You literally make $50,000 a year, and you are telling me you're affording a $700,000 house? Well, the bank said I can get it. Did you think they had your best interest in hand? You have never heard of a balloon payment? So things were underwritten, things were shared, all the stuff was happening, double spending. And when the whole thing started collapsing, guess what? The house of cards came down. And we saw what we saw. So when you start to look into a system of bailouts and all this other stuff, regardless of what your political affiliation may be or what you believe, the fact is we realize that it is true. The richer get richer and the poorer get poorer. It's a fact. And the middle class, sadly, becomes a myth. Because when you're trying to just make it from point A to point B, and you're trying to just make ends meet, you don't have access to information. And sadly, when it comes to financial literacy, I would argue that as veterans, we have an inability to talk about these things because, I don't want to show someone I don't know how to do something. As minorities, we sure as heck don't want to talk about the fact that we don't know how to do something. And as men, sometimes we sure as heck don't want to say we don't know how to do something. We'll be lost in the aisle before we ask for help sometimes. And the sad part is, and I've said this many times to my team, everyone here who's watching this, whether live or on the replay, you've won, I'm sure, many a times, the game of Monopoly. Because in the board game, it's easy, right? I'm going to buy Park Avenue, I'm going to make this decision, and you make all the decisions, and you win every single time. But in life, you fail. Because in the game of Monopoly, there's no emotion. It is transactional. I have a certain budget. I will execute. I will move. When I pass go, I will collect. If I cannot pass, I will wait my turn. I will purchase. I will invest. I will buy. I will build. I'll put a house. I'll put a hotel. I'll do all the things that in life I just don't do. Because when I play Monopoly with Brian, right? He buys an avenue. He buys railroad. He puts a house. And then 3 makes it a hotel. Nice. Right? Started getting $500, ended winning. In life, Brian got his VA rating. Now he's not getting paid $300 a month. He's making $3,000. And he proceeds to take that $3,000 and do what? Is he buying railroad? Is he investing in said house? Or is he acquiring more liabilities, more expenses? Assets and liabilities. Assets and liabilities. There's a difference. Are the things you're purchasing things that are going to make you money, or are you spending? Are you a consumer or are you a creator? Not just saving, because again, do a quick Google search. And I told this to Brian earlier. When the government prints more money, it does not print more money. What the government does is what you and I cannot do. Example. In the last 18 months, Legends over there, seeing my son come in. In the last 18 months or so, roughly 30% of our circulating US dollar has been printed. This year alone, 20%. Let that marinate. 20% of the entire circulation of US dollars was printed this year. That is the equivalent of saying that when Amy logs into her bank and if she sees $100, she can't change that. It's $100. The government, when they get to go into some issues, they go into the bank and they do a little thing called edit. And they go and say, we got 150 now. Oh, we don't have enough to do something? Edit. We have 170 now. Oh, we don't have? We have 200 now. And think about that for a second. If collectively between the three of us we have $33 a piece, right? 33.33, whatever, right? We have 100. But if I go and print another $20 to our shares, is Amy and Brian still equal 33.33 of the total? Nope. So the value of what you have begins to go down. If you had $100 in the bank a year ago, you lost some value. That's why we love when the VA comes out with the new rates, COLA increases, cost of living. Why is that? Because $100 today is not the same thing as $100 yesterday. It's not the same thing as $100 10 years. It's not the same thing as $100 50 years ago, right? So if you had $100 a year ago, today you have maybe $98, $97. Your spending power, buying power has gone away. So when you start to look at these different things, yes, investing to look at what's appreciating, because when you put your money in the bank, you got a good bank that gives you 0.001% of interest. Stop it. Bitcoin has historically, over the past over 10 years, had about a 280% increase from year to year. Them's the numbers. Outperformed every other asset. Like it or hate it. Look at it. The S&P 500, gold, silver, has not outperformed it. And I'm not saying sell everything and go into this. What I'm saying is that if you turn on the television, you will start to see there's a lot of conversation now of banks adopting some Bitcoin. Today, you're seeing NFT conversations. You're seeing all these banks and all these people that are starting to bring about all this blockchain technology. And what blockchain technology means, it's nothing but a database. The difference is when Amy, right, goes to her bank using US dollars, the Federal Reserve says, I'm going to print more money. No one here right now can tell me exactly how much US dollars are in circulation. You can't. You cannot tell me that. However, I can tell you exactly how many Bitcoins are in circulation. Right now, there are 18,825,450 Bitcoins. And there will only ever be 21 million. That number is right here. The circulation supply is right here. That's the reality. There is no, oh, I'm going to edit this number and add more money to the situation. It will always be 21 million. That will be the max. And that won't be hit until the year 2130-ish or so. So as we progress, it's slower to get there. These are the numbers. And that's not counting who's lost what and all the horror stories. So it's much less than that. But this is it. And we're not going to talk about application technology right now. That's not the point. Because I want to show one thing here. One of them being this. Wow. This, in about a week's time, we went from 48,000 down to a low of 40,000. Oh man, that's crazy. The first thing I told you all in the beginning was zoom out. Zoom out. Zoom out. Zoom out. Zoom out. Because in the moment, it's easy to say, oh, this is crazy. I can't believe it. I just had 44,000. Now I'm down. Zoom out. Take a deep breath. Long haul. Big picture. There are some people that are assuming this will go up. When you look at right now, the amount of money that's in here, this is what makes the price that, right? The market capitalization of Bitcoin right now is $798 billion. When I got into Bitcoin, it was like 80. 798. And simple maths. If you look at taking, let's say, 1 trillion and you divide that by 18 million, that'll give you the numbers there. So it's a finite thing, right? So we're not having issues here. And when I talk about the database, as far as double spending blockchain, what it means is, to my point, Amy is all about US dollars, right? But it's a US government controlled situation and you don't have any access to it. And they can do what they want and buy out who they want. But this concept of blockchain is not just maintained by the US. It's a database that's literally maintained by over 11,000 miners. So this record of this system is spread out throughout the entire world. That's what miners do. But what that means is that when I send Brian, right, let's say X amount of whatever cryptocurrency, in this case, let's say Bitcoin, and we transact a transaction, that information is on the blockchain and is verified and it cannot be changed. Brian can't go in there and edit, I have 150 now. Because Brian has a copy of that database, as does Amy, as do I, as do another 10,900 and whatever many people. And all those systems are syncing at the same time. So all those copies are what's being verified. And once something is stamped as this is a part of that database remains what it is. All right. So simple way to look at it, right? It's a database that is completely looked at. Glenn, great question. The China ban's been happening since 2003. It's Evergrande is happening here. We'll talk about that too. We could do this all day. So the China thing is not what's making the thing go down. It's Evergrande. So what's happening in China basically is there is a fear of the biggest real estate organization collapsing. Think of Lehman's, Bear Stearns, what happened here, 2007, 2008. That stuff. It's happening potentially over there. And if it happens over there, it ripples across the board. So it's not the China banning per se. That's always been a thing. It's more than that. But fear mongering is good. My point is, no, not so much for that. But I can share thoughts on that after here. So when it comes to cryptocurrencies, all these folks are moving into this. You have literally corporations that are buying publicly traded companies that are holding Bitcoin on their business. Tesla's doing this. Okay, you have literally companies like MicroStrategy, run by Michael Saylor, and guess what? They are literally buying Bitcoins and holding it on their balance sheet of business. And this is literally how they're doing their money stuff. So you have companies that are literally saying instead of having our balance sheet with US dollars, they're buying Bitcoin. Because again, I showed you kind of how that thing is going up. So when you start looking at the bigger picture, there are companies that are literally acquiring these technologies and holding it on their books. So we went from a time where it was, oh, this is geek technology stuff. Then it was just little radical forward thinkers. Then it was little small investors. Then some companies. And then El Salvador made it a legal tender a few weeks ago. This is not Jimmy in a garage just mining some things. This is happening, whether or not we like it. That is the reality. We have companies that are literally doubling down, in how they're interacting with this. When you look at billionaires, when you look at Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, right? He's moving 5 to 7% of his portfolio into Bitcoin. Paul Tudor, billionaire investor. Mark Cuban. All the folks that own the things and create the things are saying, wait a second, publicly traded companies are buying these things. So what I'm saying is that without having to go into details of, what you should or should not do, I would argue and say you need to begin to pay attention. Because the days where, we can say, well, I really wish I would have got into Amazon back then. I wish I would have bought Facebook. I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. Well, here's the I wish you're missing the next boat of what's happening. This is happening, and we'll have information that we'll share and you can research and all that stuff. But the biggest thing I will say here is the best way to understand this crazy, crazy concept. And again, I bring this up because if you don't see it, it becomes this is not real. This is a publicly traded company. MicroStrategies now owns over 100,000 Bitcoins worth more than $3 billion after their latest purchase. That was in June. They went ahead and bought a few more thousand a few days ago. What is happening that these folks are paying attention to that we are not? MicroStrategy said the average purchase price of XYZ Bitcoin Trove is they bought it at this amount. So they bought over 100, right? 20,000 Bitcoins at an average price of 26,000. Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist here to know that I just showed you the price now. So if they bought it at 26,000, let's just call it 20. Sounds to me like that has doubled from where they bought it. So if you buy something at 20,000 is worth 40,000, that means that they bought something for 1.5 billion and now it's worth 3. Them's the numbers. That's the reality. And the fact of the matter is that the exponential growth of where we have seen this happen from the beginning to now, it's crazy. It makes no sense. It's happening. And what I would offer and challenge y'all, we got Steve in the house saying, hey, Amy. I would offer to you all that the best way to begin to understand this, it's simple. And we'll put some information. I'll share some links to make it easier, but buy $5 of Bitcoin. Just buy $5. Because everything I'm saying is not going to make sense until you own something. Think about it. Until you decide to buy a red car, you see red cars everywhere. Until you put your mind to look at something, you don't see it. DP, that sounds crazy, that sounds whatever. Get $5 of Bitcoin. Talk to me in a month. I promise you, you're going to have a lot of more questions. Because you're invested. I'm not saying go crazy and go whatever. What I'm saying is let's begin to look at something. I showed this to my crew, and I would say that the power behind cryptocurrencies, outside of what you all may think, is that all of us right here, for example, we own, let's say, a house. Look what's happened in some of these countries where things have been defunded, right? In South America. Regardless of your position politically, the fact is this. There may be an instance where Brian cannot sell his house. There may be an instance where financially Amy has an injunction or something happens where she cannot access her funds. These are realities. These are things that happen. Brian cannot just take his car and move. He can't take his house and move. Brian cannot jump on a plane with $10,000 without declaring it. And Amy cannot take her gold bars with her anywhere. I can take this with me anywhere. And in this little funky thing, I have the keys to the cryptocurrencies that I own. I can have $5 here. I can have $5 million here. I can have $1 billion here. These are the keys that move the assets that live on this worldwide ledger that we talked about. And I can go anywhere, when I want, how I want, without having to respond to anyone. That's the reality of what this is. Think about that from a perspective of freedom. What's that? We have Venezuela's economy's collapsing and all your money's in the bank. Tell me how that worked out for them when they tried to take that money out. Oh, you're a millionaire? No, you were. The economy collapsed. Guess what? They took it. That's all communism, right? If all your eggs are in that basket and that thing goes down, Bernie Madoff. I lost everything to his Ponzi schemes. Sometimes Ponzi schemes are government schemes, so you know. I have the ability to go and transact how I want, where I want, with no issues. When El Salvador made Bitcoin a legal tender for money purposes, Western Union stands to lose $300 million. Because for those that don't know, when you're an immigrant working in the United States, you send a remittance back to your country. You come here to make a better life to send money back home. How does somebody send home money in El Salvador? You don't just direct deposit. You Western Union it, right? How much does Western Union charge you? I can send whatever I want, how I want, for a fraction of the price instantaneously. That changes things. Remittance. And here's another thing too. This little thing, I am my bank. This is my bank. Brian lives somewhere where there is no bank. Wallet to wallet. No middleman. But this comes at a price. The reality is, you have to know what you're doing. You have to learn these things. Because for all the good things I can talk about, if you don't know how to use this, you can't call Big Brother. Because the banking system and all the negative things we talk about, they can't help you. This literally is me. I have to understand how to use this thing, right? If I send it to the wrong place, I can't call the bank to take it back and this ain't FDIC insured. I am FDIC. I am my IT department. And today I would offer to you that a lot of these things, when I started in crypto, trust me, there was none of this stuff. It was much more complicated. It's getting easier. Now there's apps for these things. And we'll share apps that we trust and we use, and we'll have that as well. But I would offer to you all that as things get easier and better, this will help you all, and it'll be more user friendly. But once that happens, all these gains that you're seeing, it's like a gold rush. If we're first to the gold rush, we have the ability to make the most out of it. But once these big companies show up and everybody else shows up with their shovels, you're not making as much anymore. So that's the power of what's happening now, of getting ahead of the curve before it becomes a standard crazy thing. So one of the questions, Steve's in the house. What's up, my brother? Is that a key or is that an actual wallet? So really, yeah. So this gives you the ability to move your funds as you see fit. And we'll go ahead and link that too. When it comes to this, this is a ledger. Let me see if I can center it here. Woo, there you go. A ledger that gives me, they have different ones. So this is kind of like my key. I can go ahead and in this wallet pretty much do stuff. Now, what the wallet does, it doesn't mean that this has the money. You can break this and I can make another one. It just holds the password, the keys for me to do something. So consider this like my car keys. This is not where the car lives. The car is out there parked. I cannot move the car without the key. I cannot move my funds without the keys. That's what this holds, right? So when it comes to any of these things, Gino said it perfectly. Do not buy any of this stuff unless it comes directly from the manufacturer. And again, I will provide links, because here's the reality. Everything I'm saying sounds great. This is crazy talk. But if you don't know that I'm hacking this thing and basically making it to where when you put your stuff in here, I'm going to go ahead and steal it from you, people out there can do some crazy stuff. You want to ensure this is not tampered or comes from a reseller or something that has a Trojan horse or some viruses. So you can only go to the source with these things, because there's a lot of scams. So that's also the cautionary tale, to make sure you're doing it the right way. Passenger Shaman says, what it says here, is if there is 5 million in your key, could you please send it over here? Thanks. I do, Brian. So we'll put the affiliate link. It's actually on, also, I want to say Airtable.
If you have $5, can I borrow it?
No. You have to get your own wallet first. Fun fact, though, this is the first conversation we're having. We are going to put a challenge out, so you have to make sure to follow us where we're at on social media, Instagram, Facebook. The next time we come back in about 2 weeks, we're going to be giving away a few Bitcoins and some NFTs to help some folks to kind of get going. So stand by for that, but that is coming. In the chat there, it was placed as well as far as one of the wallets that we provide. It is the Ledger wallet. It's one of our affiliate links, so make sure that's the right place there. Voyager's good, Trezor's good. I'm a Ledger guy. I've had Ledger for a while. But there's different types of wallets, so it really depends. And in my world, you know what I'm saying, like, different people are different, but I have two of these, right? So I have one that's with me all the time, and I have one that is saved, and then I have my passwords backed up somewhere else as well. So, like, literally, thumbs on my car keys. You know what I mean? Like, look, it doesn't matter where I go, that's just me. Someone might be like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, first of all, when I turn this funky stuff on, right? Oh, it's not only a wallet key situation, but let me see. Yep. You have to also know the password to open said thing. So yeah. This is not going to be something like, oh, I found it, let me go do a thing.
Yeah. So the link didn't work, and so we'll get out a corrected link.
We'll go ahead and pull that here for you in a second. But those are the things that we need to make sure that, you know, you're doing the right thing the right way. But we're going to give away some Bitcoin and some NFTs. So that, you know, to not get too crazy, there's different types of Bitcoin, different types of cryptocurrencies. We're just talking about Bitcoin just to make it simple right now. But again, when you look at where Bitcoin was, where we're at now, I would argue to you all that you want to be in a place where you're at least positioning yourself, you know, to be able to move forward. Again, here in 2019, Bitcoin was $3,000. 17, it spiked up, if y'all remember, to 15,000. And right before that, it was down here in the 4s and the 2s and the 3s, right? So if I started playing with cryptocurrencies around 2017, after having had watched it for a little bit, you do the math. That's what it comes down to. But now, as far as this situation here, don't go crazy thinking like, oh man, no. What happens if Bitcoin goes to $100,000? And again, this is one. So it's not a get rich quick scheme. This is what's supposed to start fixing the system and empowering people again to look at different ways of having access to information. So again, no one's walking out of here with a mastery in cryptocurrencies. The biggest takeaway here is saying that if you've been having money in the bank and you've been saving it and nothing's changed, I would offer to you that maybe I invested $4,000 3 or 4 years ago, and it's worth now $42,000. Did your bank do that? Did your investment strategy do that? Oh, you got 8 to 10% increase from year to year. That's cute. But there's a 17-year-old kid and a 20-year-old kid that is literally out there knowing this stuff, and they're leveraging these things and getting wrapped up into, I don't understand this stuff. Look, I don't understand how cars work, but I drive them. I don't understand how iPhone's built, but I use it. So yes, learn things, but understand and be receptive to, hey, maybe I put a few dollars into this. Not everything will work, but begin to experiment, begin to look at new things. And that's what this conversation is about. You got your rating, you got a few dollars, you got an increase. Take $500 and just put it to the side. Look at something different, because we have access to this information, but no one wants to talk about it because nobody wants to say, I don't know, right? And they don't want to get taken or screwed or scammed, because these things do happen. So with that in mind, you have things like Ethereum, which is the second cryptocurrency. The last point I'll say as we shift over to the NFT side of the house is this is CoinMarketCap. And one of the things I'll offer to you all here is at the very top where it says the market cap. When I was first looking at this concept called Bitcoin and its cryptocurrencies, the entire market cap of all of cryptocurrencies was less than 500 billion. It's $1.9 trillion. Right? When you look at the gold, and again, 100,000 million billion trillion, the gold market cap of the world, right? It's about 10 trillion. You have over $100 trillion in the stock market, right? The global real estate market, over 100 trillion. So what I'm saying is, if you take 100 trillion and say collectively, right, we're going to diversify big companies, and we'll put 5% of our real estate holdings, our investment holdings, into this crazy concept called cryptocurrencies. What's 5% of 100 trillion? Huh? Think about it. What does that do if the market cap goes from 1.9 trillion to 5 trillion? And at the end of the day, no matter what anybody says, the Mac Daddy of cryptocurrencies is always going to be Bitcoin, first on the scene, the biggest market cap. So if the market cap here, right, is 800 billion and it's 43,000 per Bitcoin, what happens if the entire market doubles? Across the board, doubles. Literally, next year, double. Not 2 trillion, 4 trillion. A $4 trillion market means that Bitcoin is not 800 billion, it's 1.6 trillion. Not 42,000, 84,000 per Bitcoin? Lunacy. Basic math. Think about that. It's what's happened time and time again. Zoom out and continues. So, I say all that to say that you have to start understanding what's happened. This is the entirety of the space. ODP, you're talking. I said 2017 is when I started to get into this stuff. The market cap of all cryptocurrencies, 100,000 million billion, 17 billion. 17 billion was the market cap, right? 18, people got excited. 579. Then it went down some. 271. We went up to 2.9, right? May of this year. Then it went down, retraced, and now it went up to as high as 2.3, and I just showed you we're at 1.8. Right? Zoom out. This thing's going to go away. It's going to crash. Look, I don't care what you call it. Buy here, sell there, whatever you want to do. Not financial advice. Start making informed decisions. Start understanding what is happening, because zoom out. This is where it started. Again, somebody way back over here, right? If we go into Bitcoin world, again, because it's crazy. And again, there's a lot of reasons why it's easier to say that than done. But way back over here, someone was able to buy a Bitcoin for $90. Way back behind that, someone was able to get it for pennies and stuff, right? So think about that for a second when you start to look at this, right? Because when you zoom out, it makes a little more sense. But when you zoom in, look how crazy it was in 2013. Brian invested and had $1,000 Bitcoin, and then it went all the way down to 800, and it went down to 300, and I'm going to lose everything. Sell, go crazy. Zoom out, because as crazy as that time was, look what happens when I zoom out, right? So right now it's getting crazy in the past week. Okay, zoom out, because again, it's a bigger picture. So, this is one of the cryptocurrencies that are out there. There are many other ones that do different things. Ethereum is the only other one I'll talk about. This one has smart contracts. What they do is different. So when it comes to smart contracts, think of this for a second. The internet as we know it, and again, this is going to be crazy, but the internet as we know it began in the 70s as part of DARPA, which was a military to military, university to university communication system. The internet as we know it was never designed to take payments. So the reason we have things like PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, is things built on top of the internet. The internet is not inherently able to accept payments, right? When you buy something, what do? You check out, right? You use your bank card. You use these apps. That's what the system does. These are layered applications. If you're watching right now, you're watching us on a phone, you're not on the main site of Facebook or YouTube. You're on an app that's built on top of a website that runs on something else. You are on almost 3 layers of a technology. Think about that for a second. Remember how the internet used to be back in the day? When you dial in and be like, we're far from that. Look how we've come from 1999 to now. I would offer to you that it is 1999 today in cryptocurrency. But the difference is in cryptocurrency, when you say, but how can you do all this stuff with one thing? Because this new evolution of the web has inherent capabilities to do all these things. If I told you back in 99 that you could go to Amazon and have next day delivery and things will be sent to you on a drone, you'd be like, first of all, what the hell's Amazon? Don't they sell books? And what do you mean? What is Prime? Right? So when I say things like I can use Bitcoin or Ethereum, right, to not only send money to Brian, but information as well. Well, how is it a blockchain technology database, but also money? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, because you're thinking internet and then PayPal built on top. But what if I told you that that was all baked into the system that operates seamless? I'll crazy your concept. There was a time where all of you had a cell phone, a CD player, a calculator, and all the things, right? So when you all did things, you had this. You had one of these little doohickeys. You had one of these little doohickeys. You had one of these little things. And then you had a phone call thing. But then Apple came and said, let's put music player and calculator, right? Gone. Speaker, gone. Directions, gone. Head, gone. All that stuff into one app. One thing. Come on now, you're not going to have no GPS in this thing? Baloney. Phone calls? Baloney. FaceTime video? Baloney. Internet? No way, Jose. I play a snake game on my little flip phone. What we see today, I would offer to you that what this has replaced, music, television, internet, apps for everything you can think of, shopping, GPS, everything you have on your phone, right? Again, page 1, calendar, pictures, clock, contact book, all the other things that we have here, right? Apps in one device. So is it a crazy concept that you build a technology, the blockchain, that has the capability to do all the things that you do in separate places? Information transfer, payments, all these things inherently in said technology. That's what's happening. So a smart contract to the Ethereum side of the house begins to push us now into this new craze called NFTs. A non-fungible token is a unit of data stored on a digital ledger, we talked about it, called the blockchain, that certifies a digital asset to be unique and therefore not interchangeable. NFTs can be used to represent items such as photos, a picture of an ape, videos, audios, and other types of digital files. Well, DP, there's no way you're ever going to have stuff on the interwebs. I'm sorry, when's the last time you bought a newspaper? When's the last time you bought a CD? When's the last time you bought a magazine? Sounds to me like you're living in a very digital world. Wait a second, when's the last time that you made a point to go and use this crazy thing called a dollar? Because I promise you, you like to pull out that thing and swipe it. Or if you're techie, you go bloop bloop Apple Pay. Sounds to me like you're using digital money already, right? So you're using these things. It's just wrapping your head around what's actually happening, because we don't use this, right? When you buy a house, do you take out $350,000? Do you write a check, or do you do an ETF now? Or EFT now, rather, right? Direct transfer, etc. So that's the reality of what's happening. And I would argue that if you wanted to send with some of the technology, they have sent $60 million from the United States to Europe in seconds for literally 5 cents. So this is a whole different world. NFTs, non-fungible token. Fungible tokens is a concept simple. Brian has this, I have this. These are equal, henceforth they're fungible. They can be interchanged. But when I buy the Mona Lisa or a piece of art, it's not the same, right? When you buy a vehicle, those are two different assets, but they're not interchangeable like that, right? Right? They're non-fungible. So in this instance, for technology, you have the ability to use the Ethereum blockchain to transfer information. So what does that mean? Well, that's the crazy stuff that, Lord help me, if you guys go to our website at veteransnetwork.club, you will see some of these things. We're slowly bringing you all in. These are some NFTs that we created, images, we minted them, and they live on the blockchain, right? OpenSea is a place where you can get these things. Again, if you go to veteransnetwork.club, you can go to crypto NFTs and you'll see some of the things we have. This is a place where you can buy all kinds of things. What are all kinds of things? Well, in here you have the ability to buy, things such as music, such as this, such as that, whatever you want to call it, whatever you think. Trust me, if it's digital, it's in here in some shape, fashion, or form. And if you look at some of the real crazy stuff that's out there, we'll look at the number 2 moving asset out there right now. Because one thing I always have to say is, let's look at this. This is the Bored Ape Yacht Club. You may have heard about these NFTs. And if you haven't, prepare to be blown away a little bit. The floor price means this is the lowest amount of money that something can be bought for on this platform. 39 Ethereum. What does that mean? Well, let's go ahead and break it down so you see exactly what it is. So that is not just regular monies. Let's see, you need some lobsters, some lobsters too. It's not just the monies there. What we're looking at here is, let's go to products. Let's go to converter. Right, we're going to pick Ethereum so we can go ahead and show you in real time what this is. So when I come here, I'm saying 39 Ethereums is the lowest you can buy any of these crazy pictures of an ape. $113,000. That's what one of these pictures represents.
Love me some monkey.
I don't understand it. This makes no sense. I don't understand why people collect shoes. I don't understand why people collect art and put it on the walls. I don't understand a lot of things in life. It is what it is. Inherent values are placed on things as people see fit. That's, you know what I mean? Like, let's not get into the minutia here. I need you to understand that there is a kid who, right now, if I go into trading activity, or someone, literally, and this is real-time things that are happening. Let's go for this one, 78. Someone down here bought this a day ago for 78 Ethereums. That is the equivalent of $227,000. What you don't know is that was before that 5, before that 3, before that this, and when they first got that 5 months ago, it was $300. Follow the train of thought for a second. Show me some place you can buy something for $300 and all of a sudden we're looking at the numbers we're looking at. And of course, this is not the standard. There are many variables, but it's the concept that when it comes to this, not, well, I can just make a copy of this picture. I understand that. But if I own the masters to Michael Jackson's Thriller, I own the masters, not you. You may have bought the CD, but I own the masters. And those that live in this world will pay top dollars for the masters of Elvis Presley's greatest hits of so-and-so. So the inherent fact that this is something that belongs to this person, you cannot refute that. This person owns this. That is theirs. It lives on the blockchain. That cannot be refuted. So when I come here, for example, I can see this person sold this to this person, and that is a reality. That person owns this. If I copy their address, this is another freaky part. I can literally come here into Etherscan, and I can see who owns it because, I don't know who they are. You can literally come here and have a check and see, okay, what does that person own? What do they have, etc. And I can see in here that, yeah, you have ownership of that. So you have actual ownership of that thing, the deed to a thing, the records of a thing, whatever that may be. So while today this is a picture, what I'm saying is that this is data. On the blockchain, it doesn't show a picture. It shows a transaction from one person to the next, and they own this thing. This person owns this asset, whatever it may be. That is the reality. They own that asset. This asset belongs to them, and they've had it for this amount of time. Period. Immutable. Can't change it, can't edit it. Lives on the blockchain. Established. So now what I'm offering to you all is that Tory Lanez, I want to say, put his album, right? Because what did we say previously, right? We said photos, videos, audio. In 1 minute, 1 million copies of a record was sold for $1. And that artist made $1 million in a minute. Directly. There was no Tower Records. There was no intermediary person. He sold his music directly to the people, and the people in turn were able to access that thing. You eliminate the middleman. So this is now another layer on top of what do you do with this stuff. So this information here, as far as being able to, be used to represent such things or other digital files, what I'm trying to pique the interest here is essentially that other digital files can one day become the deed to your house, the deed to your car, transactions that eliminate brokerages. Because smart contracts mean that if I want to buy a house from Brian and Brian wants to sell it to me, Amy is the escrow. Amy is between us. I give Amy the money. He gives Amy the deed. When everything is checked, she gives us the opposite, right? So I give money. He gives deed. I get deed. She gives him the money. That's how it works. In this concept, Amy is the blockchain. It's technology. Simple. And that's the reality of where these things are headed, to where now Amy is phased out. There is nobody collecting something in between us. It's a smart contract that says, I will give this money when Brian presents that deed. And when that is transferred, this deed is mine. Oh, but deeds, that has to be a paper thing. Yeah, like a lot of other things you have that's not paper, right? So the reality is these are the things that are happening. It is a new concept for many. When it comes to NFTs right now, yes, it's a picture of an ape. Yes, it's this, it's that. I would offer to you all that it is the movement of what's happening to the tune of big players coming into the space. If you follow me on social media, on Facebook, there's a company out here that just came into the space yesterday. Times Magazine. Literally out here having a variety of different things that they are selling. Art pieces that give the person who owns this not only this art, but now they're starting to add utility. What can I do with this picture? This makes no sense. Very good point. So let's look at what can you do with this thing, right? So the reality is that this now, because you own it, you have access to a variety of things that they may do. You have access to events, you have access to experiences that change the narrative. So if you're someone who's an artist, now you can go directly to the people. If you own this pass, this ticket, this thing, you have the ability to go ahead and do and have access to certain things. So again, without pushing further beyond that, the concept here is you got your rating, you have some extra money, whatever the case may be. Start looking at what is available to you. What can you do with these things? This is the reality. Whether or not you accept it, understand it, care for it, think it's crazy, the internet was crazy. Amazon was crazy. Facebook was crazy. Apple was crazy. And what did you do? You consumed. If you would have invested 5% of all the monies you've ever spent on anything you've ever bought, right? Mindset. I buy a lot of stuff from Amazon, but do I own Amazon? Every latest product from Apple we buy, but do you own Apple? Every blank I own, but do you own Apple? You consume and consume and consume and consume, and you never say, let me actually invest and own. It is a mindset shift. So whether it's this technology or anything else, it's the conversation of what are we doing with what we have if we can. And again, it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's saying that you missed Apple, you missed Facebook, you missed Amazon, you missed fill in the blank. And you will remember that some crazy people talked about this concept of some apes and some NFTs and some crypto stuff, and it will be a generational wealth change that you will not understand or expect. Because if you were lucky enough to buy Amazon on day one, trust me, you don't work for nobody. You live in a whole different world. If you were one of the early investors in Facebook, that little nerdy kid in Harvard, worth a few billions. So those cataclysmic changes in the world don't happen all the time. The dot-com boom, yeah, a lot of stuff crashed. A lot of stuff didn't work. Netscape's not here. Yahoo's not here, right? But diversify, right? A lot of these cryptocurrencies won't be here. They won't make it. Things will, phase out. Things will improve. But my point is, if you don't know, if you're not aware, if you don't make a point to at least begin the process of learning or understanding, you will not know. And I promise you, you'll be left behind. Because in 2017, if you go back to my Twitter, and I sometimes put on Facebook, like, well, sounds like what I said before. I said it, we talked about it, crickets. Bitcoin's $4,000. Where's it at now? 42. Whoop, whoop. A year from now, man, Bitcoin's at 100 grand. I wonder what that feels like. You know what I mean? And again, the last thing I'll say to this before I open it up is you don't have to own the entirety of that. A Bitcoin is not something you buy today. It's not reality. But it's the equivalent of saying there is a such thing as a $10,000 bill. No one here has a $10,000 bill. But you have $3. Can you have a percentage of a Bitcoin, which is called a Satoshi, right? You have a fraction of it, 0.001 of a Bitcoin. So you don't have to get crazy and think like, oh, I've missed the boat. Stop it, because I just told you if it doubles from here to next year, guess what? If you have 100, now you have 200. Winning, because that wasn't going to happen in the bank as is. That's the reality, right? So again, looking at this here, Bitcoin, yeah, it would have been great had you bought 78 Bitcoins back in the day. Because if you had 78 Bitcoins, you'd be sitting on $3 million. Them's the numbers. But if you have 0.0001, maybe that's $5. What did I say? Right? Start with that. Maybe do $40, right? Maybe do, $400, whatever it is. But the point is, you're not in the game, you're not going to win. And it's not a gamble thing of you have to be in it to win it. What I'm saying is this is no different than I remember seeing Amazon go up. That's crazy. You've been following it the whole time, but did you ever buy any? Because if you're not on the train, baby, you ain't going to make no gains. And those that do and those that are doing it. And I think it is a disservice to veterans to not have access to this information because you're not tech savvy, because you don't understand it. Stop it. Stop it. Literally. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how you look at it. In some shape, fashion, or form, begin to do something. I will share the link we have also for Swan Bitcoin and one of the apps that I have, and I literally have it on autopilot. I literally have it on autopilot. One of the systems I use is Swan Bitcoin. And basically, I have it set on whatever rotation I have. And in your case, I just use the same numbers. Here it is. Swan Bitcoin. Save $10 worth of Bitcoin a day if you want to. Or a week, or whatever the case may be. And literally, it will go ahead and begin to save that thing because, oh, look, what I talked about, how the dollar value has gone down. That's just, it's the stats, right? So the fact is you have the ability to set up a recurrent pay or do something minimal. If it's $5 a week, it's, again, whatever it may be, the point is you get into the habit of at least saying, hey, look, this is $5 less of a Starbucks. I'll put it there, let it sit. Because you don't know. And again, these are things that are out there that when I started, this was not a thing. It was not this easy. So by having it set up this way, you have the ability, again, whichever way you choose to go, of being able to, at the minimum, look at potentially how, well, actually, it's funny. I just remember what my affiliate link was. It's a real hard one, too, by the way. It is literally Swan Bitcoin /DP. So I reached out. We have a partnership with Swan Bitcoin. I'm not only a user, but I'm also someone looking to help others. But yeah, this is not my quote, but it's a pretty good quote. They put my name on apparently. But this is swanbitcoin.com /DP. And you have the ability to sign up, and it has some good information. It also has a book here that you can download to give you some good info as well. So again, you could take a look at it. There's some blogs and stuff. We're going to be doing some partnerships and creating some things and sharing stuff they had. So I'm part of one of their teams and, trying to break, some of this information to make it simple. And for the record, this is not the promised Bitcoin, right? Because it says DP welcomes you to Swan. You're going to get $10 of Bitcoin when you sign up. No, I am saying we're going to do that separate to this. If you choose to do this, they'll give you $10. I'm saying when we come back live, we're going to send that to someone so you all see it live happening. But whatever it may be, again, these are options, right? Wherever you may be, whatever your situation is, you don't have to do it. Not financial advice, not what you should do. It's just information of what's available. If you don't know these things, you don't know these things. Because here's the reality. While we've been talking, today's draft went out without me having to go ahead and make a point to do that. So it's kind of a set it and forget it for whatever you want that thing to be. Again, it doesn't have to be this. You can just go straight. You don't have to use the affiliate link. We just want to share information of what I've used. So I use Swan Bitcoin. It is personally how I purchase. So I have my Swan Bitcoin. What's good about this is it takes a lot of the headache out of it. So you're not having to go out and buy it. It holds it actually in account for you. And when you're ready, you can set it to deposit into your account every so often, right? So let's say you put $5 a week and you say when it gets to $100, move it over to my wallet or what have you. So it's pretty directed however you want to do it. You can put whatever amount you want, whatever frequency you want. And again, it's an app. Back in my day, trust me, I had to log into a system, hop into New Zealand, trust me, there was some funky stuff we had to do back in the day, so we can't talk about that. You know what I mean? It's crypto for a reason. VPNs, hopping around, doing stuff. I can't confirm or deny. But it's an app, and you can do these things simple. So again, these are just some examples. We're going to share more. We're going to have some blogs. So again, it might be information overload, but really it's about sharing this information because again, my first tenet here is saying you need to have the ability, and you know what, I'll bring it up because I think it's just, it's useful to at least touch on it here. But some of the things of how I envision stuff here is, again, and a lot of the stuff we're working on, so we're not there yet. But if you go to veteransnetwork.club, you'll see these are some things we're looking at doing, right? And, we believe that veterans need benefit support in a variety of different ways, right? So how does that look? How do we help get someone there, align them with resources? But then middle bracket, right? What are some veteran software as a service, right? That's what this is. These are services, softwares, not financial advice, not financial analysts or advisors rather. But these are things that are available that you would not know. We have bots that are literally trading and buying stuff for us. These are things that are available. And because you don't know about them, doesn't mean you shouldn't have access to them. So these are things that we want to bring to market, talk about it, give our own experiences, and share the information. And then look at business development. Because in the first bracket, you have a soldier, or airman, or sailor, or marine, or space cadet, or coastie, who is in service, and they get out, and they have services and benefits they're entitled to, buying a house, disability, GI Bill, whatever. But after you have something, start looking at other options. Trademark VSaaS, that's my word, veteran software as a service. But look at what's available. What are some things that are out there? Cryptocurrencies, investments, bots, etc. These things are there. So we want to be able to give and align folks with these things. Not only available to veterans only, but this is the conversation, right? This is open to, everyone. But this is one of the things that we have to start talking about to get out of the stigma, right? And talk about more things. Business development. You want to start a business. You want to do stuff. I may know a thing or two about business. May have started a business or two. May have been successful. May have bought a Bitcoin or two. May have known this thing or two. So let's start putting our egos aside of who knows more and just start sharing things and start doing things. Glenn said in the chat earlier that this is the part that confuses him. The last thing I'll share here is one of our galleries we put together. The metaverse, we'll talk about another day. The metaverse is the future of the internet. All I'll say is it's going to get crazy. This is literally a warehouse that lives on the metaverse. Many of you may have seen part of what the metaverse is. You may have seen it as either where your kids play Roblox or where your kids play Minecraft. It's the future. Whether you like it or not, trust me, it's a thing. I'm telling you, this is literally an art exhibit, right? And in this art exhibit, you see a lot of different things, right? And you see that they have information here, and you can go and see what these things may be. Some of the things, oh, wait a second, what is this thing up here? Looks a lot like that one little one I told about earlier that we created. So here you have a thing. Wow, this looks like something that maybe Brian might own. And all these other things here, projects or different things that are happening, different whatever. These are a few of the stuff that lives in this gallery. And if you look at them, right, you may see here like, oh, what's this thing? Or what's this stuff over here, right? Or who, let's say, is this individual, and what's the information on them, right? Go see them on OpenSea. You can see who they are and what the information is on said, characteristic. What I'm showing you basically here is this is literally a digital gallery that lives in the metaverse, and it's literally a collection of a few of the NFTs that I own. Right there, right in front of you. Again, this is where the future will begin to go when you start considering that in the future. I like the warehouse one because it's a little more kind of rustic and whatnot. But you have people that literally have a variety of things that they own, and all these things are worth something. They can be sold, they can be made money. There's a lot of things behind all this stuff. And again, this is just one way to showcase it in one quick way. But this whole concept of the metaverse, what this thing is, what's happening here, if you look at it, it looks a whole lot like, what you see, that some of our kids may have or may be doing. And the fact is, this is where the future is going. And if someone says, for example, like, oh, this is, not a thing or whatever, when you have some time, go look at this thing called Metaverse ETF. The Metaverse ETF is one of the new ETFs that are out there that people are allocating money to. This came out June 30, 2021. You can see the numbers, $74 billion. And this Minecraft sadly doesn't play with fake money, but there's a lot of money in here. And this is literally an investor pitch to a lot of companies who want to diversify their monies. This is what they're saying here. If you invest into this ETF, it's a regular ETF you can look into if you're an investment advisor. Companies developing infrastructures essential to the metaverse, such as Cloudflare and NVIDIA. Gaming engines responsible for the creation of virtual worlds, including Unity and Roblox. Pioneers in content, commerce, and social for media, such as Tencent, CN, Snap, etc. This is what these companies are saying. They estimate revenues to reach $400 billion by 2025. Bloomberg says $800 billion by 2025. This crazy NFT, this crazy metaverse world, where they're going, what they're creating. Take a look at it. Again, do a metaverse ETF check and look at their investment pitch. These games, like what you just said, Glenn, scroll down and you'll start seeing down here, look, it's Fortnite. Yep. Look at what they're actually making a point to showcase here. Roblox, right? How much is that? $51 billion, what our kids asked to play with. Statistics, there's 9.7 billion hours being spent there. In Q1 2021, it's up 140% from a year ago to 387 million. Noble features are like this. Ask your kids about it. Spend some time with them. Like, this is not a kiddie thing. This is real money. And they're saying this thing continues to grow. And these case studies and the exposure of them trying to get big investors to move into this space, it is a thing. This is happening. This is real. Why invest in this? Because Robinhood believes that the metaverse will become the successor to the current internet and build an experience that spans the virtual and real world. Why is Facebook building VR? What's all this VR stuff? What's all this artificial? These things are happening, whether or not we choose to see it. So, not investment advice, not legal advice, not medical advice. Just saying, start to think, start to ask, start to engage in what's out there, because if we don't have these conversations, you won't know. So part of kind of what my vision is for some of this stuff is creating concepts, trainings, models, etc., to help folks understand this stuff. Because if you don't know, you get left behind. And I don't think it is right for people not to have access to this information because they don't know. I'm sure I've said 5 things that have blown people's minds off, or they're like, there's just no way. And the fact of the matter is, again, when I said in the beginning, it applies to everything. Because when we talk claims, right? Oh, you're bashing BSOs and accredited lawyers and agents. Okay. Go ask your financial advisor about what I just said. I'm not one. I'm not accredited. But I'm in the game and I know my shit. Right? Because no one's going to take care or care about your situation as much as you do. So, yeah, there's some people who do regular investments who have no clue about this space. My financial planner, we talk about this stuff, and he's just like, what the heck? And I'm like, look, I'm on a whole different plane with this stuff. Like, all that S&P 500 stuff, ETFs, got it, done it, check, done, did it. Time to diversify, right? I'm no better than Brian. I'm no better than any of you all. It's about being able to share this information so you start to ask questions, so you start to think out the box, because this information should not be excluded only to those in those circles. That pitch, that website, that ETF, that's not geared towards you and me. You've never heard about it. You don't know about no metaverse ETF, but people with a lot of commas in their portfolio, they're being pitched this. That's why it's a pitch deck to them. Look at this, invest in this. Not Glenn, not me, not Brian. If you don't know, you don't know, right? So this information, this is happening whether we like it or not. It is a reality. So there's a lot of information that needs to be digested. The theme of today really was about, again, talking claims and crypto and NFTs, but really more so just piquing the interest of what is available, what is out there, the beginning conversations. Because the same way I pulled up the CFR, talk about claims, do the same thing about finance, do the same thing on crypto. You know what I'm saying? So it's about putting ego aside and for once having a conversation that, hey, I may not be good at a lot of things, but I know a few things. And the things that I do know, I need to share them. Because Brian deserves to know this information. Amy deserves to know this information. As does Glenn. As does. That's what it comes down to. Because for these topics, I don't want to tell nobody because I want to be the one. Nah, stop it. Like, we all deserve to have access to things, to be successful, to be able to have things. But without the information, we don't know about them. Because, again, you can go get a financial planner advisor and they'll put, your money in some bonds and some things. And okay, I've outperformed all of your investment strategies. Because the things you invest in, I've invested as well, and the things you haven't, I have as well. Think out the box, new things. So this is about moving from the past, getting your claim, getting yourself right, but then moving forward. What's the future like? I just told you 2023, 2025, what they're talking about. So let's start planning for 2023, 2025. That's what Veterans Network's moving into. It's moving forward. This is not just a benefit conversation. This is a yes, let's get you whole and let's get your ass in gear and move forward. If not for you, for your kids or your grandkids or whatever the situation may be. Don't care what station in life you're in. If you're 80, doesn't matter. We had a meeting one time, Korean War veteran, 91 years old. His wife says, great information. Now let's talk about Bitcoin. I'm in the S&P. We've been successful. I have some invested, but these returns do not match what you guys are talking about. Let's talk Bitcoin. How much time you got, baby? Because again, you have to be able to do this stuff. So again, I don't care how you go about it, who you reach out to, who you do business with, if they cannot speak to you and walk you down this process and help you and have these discussions and show it to you, then what are you doing? You're paying someone to do what? To invest in a strategy that you don't even know about? Have conversations. So that's what this is about. It's education. It's not financial advice. It's saying, hey, go back to your financial planner and have a conversation. Because I'm going to say the truth. If you go back to your VSO and your VSO can't break it down like we broke it down, you got a problem. Find a new one. If your financial planner can't talk about what we talk about, you might finally get a new one. So that's, a big, that's all the notes I think Amy gave me to be able to touch on. Over to Amy and Brian.
You're on mute there. No, this is great.
I mute myself because I was coughing so much, but that was awesome. Great information. I was actually playing around on the app myself, the Swan Bitcoin app. While you were talking, it's pretty cool. So I keep saying that I'm going to do it. I just need to do it. But yeah, thanks for holding space tonight, DP. This is great. It was good to be back and do the Friday Night Live again. And thank you for all those that have come out to join us. Again, remember to check on your strong friends. The heaviest thing to pick up is a phone. And yeah, so look forward to seeing you guys in a couple weeks. I think we're going to try to do it every other Friday. So we'll start advertising and broadcasting and putting it out there when the next one is to come.
Mm-hmm. Brian, that's a nice little NFT you had over there.
Yeah. You know what? I identify with that NFT. That is my alter ego right there. Actually, it's not even an alter ego. It's just another side of myself. Now, it's this has been a great introduction, I think, for everybody. In not only the continuing the conversation around the claims, but also breaching the topic on crypto and NFT. Thanks to DP, I've been using that Swan Bitcoin. There's my brother right there. I think we have many similar characteristics, but so I may not be able to go out and buy a full Bitcoin, a full bill, like $10,000, $42,000 bill, but I can certainly buy fractions of it. And hey, as it goes up as a whole, the fractions go up as well. So it's it's a great place to be. And as you look, there are other crypto coins out there, crypto tokens. It's there's so many out there. Maybe most of them are going to be junk. There is a lot of risk, so you want to be careful with what you're with what you're investing with. It's sad when we see one guy talk about he's lost his wedding money because he was playing around in the NFT space when he had no business playing with money that should have been earmarked for his wedding. So don't we don't encourage you to use money that you can't afford to lose. Mm-hmm. But it really is an exciting space out there, and we're looking forward to opening that up to you as a bigger and broader topic, and how you can get into it, and just looking forward to walking with you all down that journey. So, like I'll use one more Yogi Berra quote, and that is, "The future ain't what it used to be." So it's going to be a brave new world out there. Mine Minecraft will be a thing that we might actually be forced to play with, with Roblox and everything else. So, yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Just appreciate everybody being out here and looking forward to helping you out, y'all. Everybody, go out and check our website out, www.veteransnetwork.club, not .com. It's .club. Check out our services. Check out the NFT, crypto page. Things will be updated as we go. But yeah, good stuff coming.
Yeah. So definitely check out the information we have here. We're going to be updating the site, adding more things. So really kind of be on the lookout. Make sure you're following us on social, obviously, so you're alerted when we're doing things. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and so forth. The biggest thing here to I think Steve's question, as far as do they work. So there was a time where they didn't hold all cryptocurrencies. Ledger's been pretty good. So like there's an app, so you have the ability. So like I have an app on the phone. I have the ability to go ahead and keep up my balances and move things around. So you have the ability to buy and store and have it secured in the app, in the actual key as well. So they're adding constant tokens to it as you move forward. So a lot of these now, back in the day, they used to only have a certain amount of, let's say, assets that they could hold. But nowadays, you literally have the ability to add a variety of them. So right now, as it stands, Ledger can hold Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and the list goes on and on, as you can see. So they have a bunch of more that they're adding. So it really has the ability to go ahead and support a variety of the more established ones. As new things come onto the scene, they are then bridging those things in there. But the main blue chip, kind of like stable, big name ones are able to be in there. So specifically to your question, right, regarding the keys again, does it work with all markets and platforms? Yeah, so the NFTs and things like that, I literally have it here. It makes my life a living hell because instead of just, because you have apps, and again, be careful because, again, we're not going to go into this, but there's a hot wallet and there's a cold wallet, right? A hot wallet means you download in the App Store a crypto wallet thing, right? And it's on your phone. But it's hot because it's plugged to the internet and someone can hack and see keystrokes and do stuff. A cold storage wallet means that the keys to my stuff is here. This is not plugged into anything. When I want to do something is the only time I plug in to do said thing, then I'm back out of it again. So it's not an app that lives on my phone, right? The app I showed you is one thing that scans, but there's no action that happens unless I manually make a point to verify it on this. Whereas on the app, I can click OK, submit, press go, whatever. Right here, no, I have to go ahead and connect this daggone thing. Then I have to put my password in. Then I have to go approve the daggone thing and then put a password in and then do all the other things. So this is like 2-factor times 5 authentication, which adds a pain in the ass. But again, as you start to accumulate your stuff, you want to make sure that it's safe and not just on the app where like, oh, my phone crashed, I don't have access. No. You have to be pretty aware of these things. So a little kind of word of wisdom there for folks. Glenn, good to hang out for our first time. Yeah, glad to be here. Captain PY2 said appreciate the information. Again, whether you see this on live on the replay, share with someone. Again, we try to make it kind of tongue in cheek and share information, but really it's about putting content out, kind of coming at this a little bit different. Again, check out our site. You can see our blogs. There's a bunch of information that we have here on our website to include, the new disability rates that are out, perspectives on a variety of things. So we have new content coming out, a lot of more stuff you start seeing related to the claim space, VA claim space, the investment space, some crypto and whatnot. So we're kind of really coming back at this in a whole new way, which requires me to have to share things, right, that nobody really wants to talk about this stuff, but it's the only way, right? It's if I say, hey, I think it's a disservice that our veterans don't have this information, then if I know something, I'm going to share something. Again, not financial advice, not medical advice, but if I know a thing and I've been successful at a thing, I'm going to share a thing. And it's not just because I'm saying a thing, it's because we collectively have done these things, have been in this space, and have had success. So we will add, again, to these pages. If you don't see it right now, we'll literally update this after on the crypto NFT page, we'll add the links to the affiliate information. So the Swan Bitcoin, the Ledger link, all that stuff, we will add it here so to make sure that you guys at least know exactly where to go. Because even if you go to Ledger itself online, you will see that they literally have banners of, beware of phishing campaigns. So anybody saying, hey, send me your key details, send me information out. No. None of that. There's none of this. Anybody sends you anything. That's not how this works. So be aware, be smart. Again, you can't break something if you have $5 in it, but you learn and get reps as to how to use this stuff. So we'll update again the crypto and NFT tab of the website. We'll have blogs and we'll talk about this again. But hopefully, again, this was informative and beneficial to at least begin to introduce the conversation. Again, you're not going to walk out of here with a whole strategy how to do something, because that's not what this is. But when we come back, we're going to make a point to... Again, we're going to give away some Bitcoin, so make sure you're following us and paying attention, right? Because we're going to give away some Bitcoin, which means that we're going to have you, make sure that you have your wallet and your stuff to receive said things, right? So those are the things, Brian, that will make a note, and Amy, for the next time we come on, we're going to give away a Bitcoin. You saw our gallery with some of the NFTs that we have. We're going to give away some of those. Crazy concept, like, oh, bear pictures, this picture. I'll tell you what, if one of those projects, right, gets picked up, think about this. Imagine if you own the Masters NFT to Homer Simpson, and Homer Simpson becomes a hit TV show. Who does that royalty money go to? The owners of Homer Simpson. In this world, a lot of these things that you're seeing are even going to, like, what is those cartoon stuff? You don't know the talks that are happening, that these cartoon stuffs may turn into like Brian's little alter ego. What if he's part of a show and that's a cartoon, and guess who gets paid when every time Brian's thing pops up? It's a whole different world, because the creators of these projects are not going to get funding from other people. We are the funding. And because we fund and we buy and we own, now they can create and do, and we now have royalties and can collect things. So it's a whole different shift on everything. But we're going to have a Bitcoin, fractions of a Bitcoin giveaway. Ain't nobody gonna get a full one, and that's not gonna happen. So let's clarify. We're talking about a fraction.
We're giving them a whole one away.
You know what I mean? Glenn about to go do a combat roll and cut my angles now and be like, I'm gonna get that whole Bitcoin. But we're gonna go ahead and give out a certain amount, to 2 or 3 folks. And then we're going to also make a point to have like a little challenge. So make sure you're following us. Go to the website, contact us. Make sure you're following us on our newsletters. We can add you. We'll have a challenge of sorts. So, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, tag 2 people, the usual stuff. If you don't do those things, you don't get those things, right? So you have 2 weeks to kind of figure that out. We'll put the information out. But a fraction of Bitcoins, we'll do that for 2 or 3 people. We're going to secure some ledgers, so we can go ahead and have that as well. So, 2 or 3 veterans will go ahead and gift them a ledger so they can start their journey the right way. Trust me, it'll come straight from said place, so it won't be anything that I want to take from you, because I said to be careful where you get it from. So we'll make sure you get it directly from the source. But 2 or 3 of those we'll get for some veterans as well. I love the number 3, so I'm always stuck on 3 for everything, right? We do benefits, we do business investments, and we do finance. So it's 3 things. But 3 veterans for some Bitcoins, fractions, 3 veterans for a ledger that we will give away, and 3 NFTs that we'll give away. So those are the things that we'll do. Trust me, if you're identified and you win said thing, we will help you and walk you through the process of setting you up, so you don't have to know how to do these things. We're not going to leave you by yourself, right? But those are the things that we will do to, again, make it more interactive and start giving back to the community as I begin to continue to do what I do. Part of that is making partnerships and relationships with projects and other people who are doing things in the space. So as I'm gifting these things and paying it forward to our veteran space, that's creating things. We have artists and people in our space who want to create things, and they may want to take their art to the metaverse. They might want to take their arts to NFTs. I might create an NFT myself. I did 3 of them and showed those you on the website. So there's a lot of things that we can do, but it starts with just, let's talk about it, right? We can do a lot of things tomorrow, but today, let's just talk about it. So if you find value in this, again, invite a friend, share it. I'm not going to sit here and pander or placate or be something I am not. So you won't see me with a stupid ass cowboy hat trying to be something I'm not. You won't see me here calling myself something that I'm not. My name is DP. That's what I was born with, David Pineda. I don't use monikers or fake names. I am who I am. You see who I am. I don't have any monikers because at the end of the day, we're real. As veterans, we've been bullshitted to a lot, enough, scammed, bamboozled, and rug pulled. It's time we just have a real conversation. So we may not be everybody's cup of tea, but whoever chooses to have tea with us, you may be able to have some of the finest teas soon enough. So I appreciate all of you spending some time with us this evening. Yes, we are back. Oh man, Mike is putting down the hammer. Golly, he said you need my address because I'm winning. Just to let this, I'm winning, so let's just get this done. Mike said, "Look, I don't know about the other two people, but go ahead and just say you're gonna give out two because one of them belongs to me."
Yeah.
Best comment of the night. Love it. But yeah, I appreciate you all being here. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate your support. We took some time away. Life happens. You learn lessons. You fall down. You get up. We'll talk about that some other time. But it's not about what has happened. Kick, cry, scream. Things may have not worked the way we would have wanted them to work in a variety of different ways. But oh well, we're still here. We haven't died. So now we pivot, we create new things, and we'll take care of veterans as best we can. And when we start doing what we do, we're going to do it to the best of our abilities, and we will whoop some ass in the process. So hopefully you will join us for the ride and bring somebody along the way, because this is our community, this is our movement, and we're just trying to help someone else. That's my closing statements. Amy, over to you, then Brian. I think you're right.
I already did my closing statement.
Over to Brian it is then. Don't bring up the microphone.
To say ditto because I kind of did mine too, but it's.
We did it. You already had us do it.
This is awesome. So.
Yes.
No, it's like I said, it's been great having everybody here. It's great being back. I tell you what, I know that the team is rejuvenated. We are fired up for what's coming. And looking forward to just adding value to everybody out there. We're here for you. Yes, Amy.
I would say for Mark, send me your address through Facebook Messenger, maybe, or through the. I think you deserve the comment of the night.
I agree.
So we'll send you a little something, not an NFT or Bitcoin or.
Wait,
not yet.
It might be a picture of a Bitcoin, but it's not the.
Maybe some swag with a picture of a Bitcoin.
Ooh.
Yeah, hey, it may happen. So we appreciate you all as we
yes
are, as you can see on the shirt, back.